Previously on You Can Beat Video Games. In part 2 of this guide, we freed the country of Japan from the Orochi, we revealed the imposter king of Samano, we hatched Ramia using the 6 orbs, and then we finally defeated the Archfiend Baramus. But that wasn't the end. Before we jump back into the game, in part 1 I promised to show a trick using the Dream Ruby, so I wanted to do that first. The Dream Ruby is hidden in the cave that's very close to the hidden village of the elves, and you'll find it in this treasure chest. You're supposed to take it back to the elf queen and trade it for the wake-up powder, but if instead we don't give it to the elf queen and return to Aliahan, we can use it to perform a trick. This trick takes advantage of a crazy glitch, so I recommend copying your save file before proceeding. Also, I recommend going up to the second floor of Louisa's place and making 3 new characters. This isn't mandatory, but the trick is going to allow us to alter items in our inventory, and would rather not alter the good items that we already have. The secret involves creating an entire party of ghosts, something that should be impossible because that's the condition for game over. I'm naming my 3 extra characters after famous ghosts: Casper, Slimer, and of course, Booberry. Once you have your 3 extras, head on downstairs, and you're going to drop off your 3 normal party members, and we're going to add in the 3 that we just made. So we'll drop off UCBVG, Kylo, and Mance, and then we'll go ahead and add in Casper, Slimer, and Booberry. So just set that all up. Once you're all set, we're going to head outside and casually commit a triple homicide. Out here, we're just going to try to trigger a battle, so we're just going to walk around in a circle, and once we get into the battle, you'll notice that there's a command that you can use to attack your own party. So it's that little arrow at the top above the monsters. And I swear when I created the characters, I had no idea that Booberry was going to show up as Boob. I should have probably thought of that. Anyways, you're going to attack your own party and kill off 3 of the characters. And we're going to kill off all but the hero here. You can attack yourself, you can attack other characters, but whatever you do, you don't want to win the battle until we have 3 ghosts here. So we're just going to knock off Casper, Slimer, and Boob. And once they're all dead, we're going to finish this battle. You can finish it by running away or just killing the enemies. Either way is fine. Might as well kill these guys. It's not going to be very difficult. It's not like a Black Raven can deal a lot of damage to us. Alright, so we now have 3 ghosts and we're going to head back to Louisa's place. Back at Louisa's, we're going to drop off one of our ghosts and we're going to trade him for the character that has the Dream Ruby. Make sure it's not your hero, so somebody else needs to have the Dream Ruby. If your hero has it, then you can trade the ghost for any character and then just transfer the Dream Ruby to them. So we're going to add Kylo to our party because I know Kylo is the one that has the ruby, and then we're going to go outside and we're going to kill off the hero this time, leaving the character that has the Dream Ruby alive. Also, at this point, it might be a good idea to transfer away some of the items that you do not want to transform. So something like the Thief's Key could be a disaster if it transforms into something unusable. So we'll transfer those items over to Kylo and head on outside. Now we need to make the 4th ghost. We need to make sure that our hero is one of the ghosts, so you need to kill the hero in one of these 2 battles. Doesn't matter which one, as long as the hero is dead. You're not going to be able to leave your hero behind at Louisa's, so she needs to be one of the 4 ghosts. So we'll just have Kylo and Rey both attack Rey. And once she's dead, we'll have Kylo finish this battle, which should be pretty easy to do, especially considering that the 2 slimes ran away. And then we'll head back to town. Now we just need to leave behind Kylo and pick up a 4th ghost. However, when you try to leave behind your last living party member, the game tells you that it's against the rules and acts like you're making some kind of funny joke. Oh, very funny. You can't depart on your journey with only dead companions. We'll see about that. Whenever you use the Dream Ruby, suddenly because our last character is numb, the rules go out the window. A numb character can be left behind here at Louisa's, and then we can replace him with a 4th ghost. So that's why we needed the Dream Ruby. There are other ways to make your character numb, but that's just a very easy way to do it. And there you have it, the full ghost squad. So now that we have 4 ghosts, I'm going to go over to the item store and I'm just going to buy a bunch of junk items to try to transform, because that's the whole point of this. We're trying to transform some items into other ones. I recommend trying to buy a bunch of different items. Buy anything except for cypress sticks. Cypress sticks don't transform into anything, and you want to position those items in the odd slots in your inventory, so 1st, 3rd, 5th, or 7th. It doesn't seem like the other slots ever change. So you can see what we have right now. I just bought a bunch of medical herbs, but you can be more creative. And whenever you come up here to the 2nd floor of Louisa's, it's like the floor is lava. It's very weird. You'll start getting these messages that characters have died, and you'll notice that they renamed our hero Pei, so that's something that can happen. You'll also notice that now we have a cypress stick, so watch what happens whenever we take a few more steps. Now we have a turban, and it's equipped. A hero is not even supposed to be able to equip a turban. There are some weird items that you can find when you do this. Make sure to look at your other characters too. This character has a stick slime. The stick slime is a glitch, it's not a real item. However, you can get very real items like the blue orb here, which is an essential quest item, or the dragon killer, which is a very powerful weapon. Try transferring items around and experiment a little bit. You can see here we got the mysterious hat, which is a very awesome helmet that you can only get from enemy drops. And let's say we want to keep that item. Move your hero into the last position in formation before you go downstairs, and I've also noticed it seems to avoid some glitches. Whenever you leave the ghosts behind at Louisa's, don't leave the first member of your team first. Leave the 2nd guy first and then leave the other ones. I'm seeing all kinds of crazy things happen, like suddenly your inventory is filled with cypress sticks, or the game thinks that you have 2 heroes. And if the game thinks you have 2 heroes, that's pretty bad, and that's one of the reasons why I told you you should copy your save file before you attempt this trick. I've also had problems with reviving the hero at the House of Healing, but I found a fix for that. So what we're going to do here is just return 1 member to our party, and you can see it's very glitchy right now. Mance seems to be frozen, and we have a ghost. What we're going to do is just trigger a battle and lose that battle. It's going to be very easy to lose the battle by attacking ourselves. You would normally never attack your own party members unless they were confused. You can also use that little arrow to cast healing magic on the enemies, which is something else that you'd think you would never do, but you'd be surprised, that could come up later. So now that Mance is dead, our party is wiped out, and you can see that our hero is back to life, although her name is Lei now. And then we can return to Louisa's place and bring our normal party back, and we will be able to revive Mance at the House of Healing. The cool thing though is we still have the mysterious hat, and it's equipped to our hero, who normally would not be able to equip a mysterious hat. The mysterious hat, if you don't know, will reduce the cost of spells used in battle, so we're going to be able to demonstrate that here in a moment. One problem though is if we try to equip any other items to our hero, it's not going to let us equip the mysterious hat anymore, so keep that in mind. You may remember that the return spell normally costs 8 magic points to cast, and we're going to cast it in a battle here, and you'll see that because of the mysterious hat, it should only cost 7 magic points to cast. So we'll cast return, and we'll just have everyone else parry. And that is the Dream Ruby trick. That barely scratches the surface of what you can do with the Dream Ruby trick, but we need to get back to our quest, and when we last left our party, we had defeated the Archfiend Baramus, but then a new Master Archfiend, Zoma, decided to rain on our victory parade. If you'd have purchased this game new back in the 90s, you'd have probably seen this twist coming. The English language instruction manual for this game was like a little strategy guide and definitely spoils this twist. Also, the poster that comes with the game shows the final boss on the back of it. Even if you lost the instruction manual, if you had a subscription to Nintendo Power Magazine, their coverage of this game not only spoiled the twist, but it spoils the ending in large bold print. Japanese players in 1988, on the other hand, didn't have all of that, and I would bet that many of those players that bought this game on day one were extremely surprised to find out that there was another Archfiend to fight, and I bet they were blown away when they found out what was on the other side of the Great Pit of Giaga, which is where we're headed now. The Great Pit of Giaga is located near the castle of Baramus, and it's just this black square surrounded by a ring of swamp. Whenever we get inside, that earthquake that occurred whenever Zoma talked to us seems to have broken down the wall around the pit and widened it a good deal. Whenever we jump through, we'll reach a world that will look very new to our characters, but if you've played the previous 2 games in the series, you're going to feel right at home. This is the World of Darkness, also known as Alefgard. When we talk to this kid, he tells us if we sail east from here, we'll run into Tantegel Castle. Yep, that sounds like Alefgard alright, so make your way out of the harbor and prepare for a blast from the past. As we make our way across the land, we're attacked by 6 classic red slimes. The red slimes are a little bit more powerful than the blue ones, although they have fewer hit points. They have a much higher attack, but it doesn't matter. These guys are very weak, so either just fight, or use one of your items that casts a spell for free to wipe them out very quickly. Once the red slimes are out of the way, try to stay in the grass and make your way over to this small town. This is the Town of Brecconaly. The people of this world don't seem terribly impressed that we were able to defeat Baramus, and this woman says that Baramus and his cronies were merely the underlings of Master Archfiend Zoma. Huh. Well, I'd like to see you defeat Baramus. This is Brecconaly's weapon and armor store, and they have some good stuff here, including the Angel's Robe, which can protect your characters from death or beat spells, and that's something that's kinda difficult to buy in the world above. You'd have to get it in the hidden village of the elves. There are other armors I'd rather have instead of the Angel's Robe, but if that's something that you're interested in buying, it's nice to be able to do it without the Staff of Change. The guy at the House of Healing makes a comment about it being late at night, but it's always night in this world, so I'm not even sure how he knows what time it is. Upstairs from the House of Healing, we'll find our good old friend Kandar. He's dressed in stripes like an old-timey prisoner, and that makes me wonder if he committed more crimes after the last time we let him go. In any case, he gives us a good clue. He tells us that an item called the Stone of Sunlight is in the castle, and that's something we'll definitely need to find. After speaking to a very emo woman who tells us that in this world there's only despair, we meet this guy who tells us something strange about the cave north of here. It seems to contain a bottomless fissure, which appeared whenever the Archfiend Zoma arrived in this world. Over here is a kid that says he's studying how to lift curses, and if I were a betting man, I'd say that he's going to succeed. If we head up the stairs, we'll be able to meet this old guy, who tells us another important clue. We need to combine rain and sunlight to create the rainbow bridge, and that's why we're going to need that stone of sunlight that Kandar told us about. This guy tells us that the Archfiend quenches his thirst on sadness, so yeah, he sounds like a fun guy. This tiny room contains the town's item shop, and it has a typical array of consumables, so if you need any of that stuff, feel free to buy it here, and this is also where you can sell items that you don't need anymore. Over here is the inn, and this inn is extremely good value. It only costs 1 gold piece per person. It doesn't get much cheaper than that, and we can use our key to open up this door, and when we talk to this soldier, he says that he ate too much, which seems like a throwaway line of dialogue, but it's actually a clue that should point us in the direction of the castle kitchen, which is somewhere we need to go. In the original game, you would have to go out to the world map to be able to go between Brecconaly and Tantegel Castle, but not here. In this time period, they're completely connected. The castle is very similar to the way it was in the original game. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty close. If you head down here to the lower right, you'll be able to talk to this old man, and just like in the first Dragon Warrior, he will restore all of your magic points for free. The inn in the town of Brecconaly is very cheap, but if you want to be extremely frugal, well, you could just use Curing Magic and then restore your magic points for free by talking to that old man. This kid wonders if even the Archfiend has something to fear, and he does. It's an item called the Sphere of Light, and we'll find it later. This other kid tells us that the Archfiend has stolen the weapons and armor from the castle, so if we unlock this door and search these treasure chests, we'll find them to be empty. These 3 empty chests are a clue that tell us that we need to be looking for 3 items. Now, I don't think it's a reference to the 3 items we need to make the rainbow bridge, but we do need 3 items for that. I think that the 3 chests are a reference to the Sword of Kings, the Shield of Heroes, and the Armor of Radiance, which is the best gear a hero can wear. Whenever we talk to this man up here, it seems that he may have run into someone from Aliahan before. And over here, this guy tells us about the Spirit of Rubius, or maybe it's just Rubus, I'm not sure how to pronounce any of these names, but in any case, it seems that the Archfiend sealed Rubius away. So we'll have to free that spirit, and over here we can talk to a cat, Meow, and then we'll head over through this door. This room is the castle kitchen. The castle kitchen has a secret, so we're going to need to come back here, but first, there's a guy down here that's locked behind a prison door and a barrier, so he must be very dangerous, and we should see what he has to say. These barriers deal 15 damage with every step, so cast Step Guard before you walk across, and it seems that this guy has delusions about being able to defeat the Master Archfiend, but he tells us a good clue that we should gather the Sword of Kings, the Shield of Heroes, and the Armor of Radiance, so that confirms what we're looking for. Kandar told us that the Stones of Sunlight were hidden in the castle, and if you played the original game, you'll remember that they were hidden in a secret basement, which you can find in the lower right corner of the castle. However, in this game, when you talk to this guy, he does not have the Stones of Sunlight, and instead he has a prophecy for us. It seems that he had a dream, and in the dream, someone gives him the stones whenever day breaks in this country. Interesting. Of course, that does nothing to resolve our current situation, so where is the Stone of Sunlight now? You probably have figured it out already. It's over here in the castle kitchen. If you push on this wall, you'll find a hidden stairway, and up between these two fires, you'll find a chest, and inside is the Stone of Sunlight. That's a mandatory item that we'll need to create the rainbow drop, so make sure you grab it before you leave the castle. Before we leave, we should visit the king, and this soldier's in our way. Oh, we have something for him. The water blaster. Yeah, it's cold. Get out the way. And we'll head over here to the left. And we'll wrap around. You probably know where the king is. He's going to be up the stairs over here to the right. So we'll just walk over there. And this is the chamber of King Rausu. If we talk to the people in the king's chambers, we'll hear about the fairy flute, which is another throwback item from the original game, but it works a bit differently in this one. There's no golem we have to fight here. The fairy flute seems to be hidden in the Village of Kol, and it seems that the easiest way to get there is by boat. This bard decides to serenade us whenever we talk to him, but the most interesting character that we talk to is this woman over here, who tells us she knows the Great Ortega, Dad. It seems that he suffered terrible burns, but whenever he fell into the volcano, he didn't die. He emerged here in the world of darkness. We should have known that Ortega was way too tough to be killed by something as simple as flaming hot lava, and it sounds like whenever he left this castle, he was still alive. Whenever you talk to the king, he'll tell you how many more experience points you need to get to the next level, and then he can save your game, so it might be a good idea to do that before we head out. We'll say hello to the old man who will restore our magic points, and then we're going to make our way back to our ship so that we can start exploring this world of darkness. Sadly, Ramia won't come over to this world, so we won't be able to ride the bird around here, but having a ship is a lot more that we had in the original Dragon Warrior, so it'll be a bit easier to get around Alefgard this time. As you're sailing around Alefgard, you can be attacked by monsters, but the monsters that attack you are always pulled from the same monster set, no matter where you are on the map. Also, this ocean does not wrap around from left to right or top to bottom. When you get to the edge of the map, you'll hit a wall and you will not be able to go through. Right now, we're going to sail down here, and whenever you see that bridge, that's about where you want to get off, and you're going to head down into the desert where you'll find the town of Hauksness. In another time, the town of Hauksness was completely destroyed by the Dragon Lord, leaving behind a desolate ruin populated only by monsters. In this game, on the other hand, you'll find a very lively town with a fully stocked item shop and townsfolk that are just living their normal lives, including this woman down here that's expecting a baby and just can't decide on a name. Another thing we'll hear about in this town is an item called the Oricon, which is something that we'll need to find to be able to get the best weapon for the hero. This weapons and armor store is open, and they have some good stuff, including a new shield called the Shield of Strength. Whenever we have enough money, we're going to want to buy a Shield of Strength for all 4 of our characters, even the ones that cannot equip it. On this side of town, you'll notice that the inn here is 25 times more expensive than the one in Brecconaly, so we won't be staying here. And this guy runs a weapons and armor shop, but for some reason, not being able to think of a name for his unborn child prohibits him from selling us merchandise. That makes sense. This woman tells us that an old man who sneezes a lot lives next door, and when we talk to him, confirmed, this guy does sneeze a lot, but he thinks that he's sneezing because someone is spreading rumors about him, which I suppose is also true. This guy reminds us about the Sphere of Light, which is the weakness of the final boss. We'll want to make sure that we retrieve it from the castle of the Dragon Queen before we head to the final battle. This guy points us in the direction of the city of Cantlin, and up here when we talk to this woman, she tells us that she saw something glittering in a pasture, and that's a clue about the location of the Oricon. If we head up around here into this flowery meadow, we can talk to this woman who has a very good clue that tells us specifically where to find the fairy flute, 4 paces south of the bath in Kol. So we'll definitely need to go there. If we head down this way, well, there's that pasture that we've been looking for. The woman we just talked to said that the glittering object was in the brush, and if you search right here in the middle, you'll find the Oricon. Once you have it, we can cast our return spell. We want to go back to Brecconaly, which is listed as Tantegel on your return menu. Back in Brecconaly, we'll take advantage of the extremely inexpensive inn. We'll pay the good man 4 pieces of gold and rest for the night. The beds here are comfortable, but there's no hot pockets in the world of darkness. It's just not the same as Ray's mom's house. Once we get outside, we're going to head back to our ship, but before we can get there, we've been attacked by 5 basic blue slimes who are about to wish they attacked anyone else. If you use the Staff of Thunder or the Sword of Thunder, either of those items will clear all of the slimes in a single move completely for free. So that'll get those slimes out of the way quickly, and we can continue on towards our ship. We're going to start sailing to the west again, just like we did the previous time, only this time we're going to follow the coastline north instead of south. So just follow it along, and we've been attacked now by our first ocean enemy. You've seen mana wars before, they're pretty easy to deal with, but the King Murzon is new. King Murzons can attack or they can cast the Snowblast spell, which hits your entire party, but most often it seems that they like to call in this Elysium bird, which is fairly obnoxious because ideally you want to kill the King Murzon last. Remember, the last enemy that you kill in battle is the only one that can drop a treasure chest, and King Murzons can drop a very unique item, the Magic Bikini. The Magic Bikini can only be worn by women and is the highest defense armor that a merchant, a goof-off, or a fighter can wear, so if you have a female of one of those classes, that's an item that you may be interested in. If you encounter King Murzons, try to kill them last and maybe you'll get lucky. And before we can enter this small shrine, we've been attacked by 2 red slimes, a ghoul, and 2 goopies. Out of this combination, the ghoul can summon a voodoo shaman or cast the spell of surround against your party, so you want to kill it first. After that, the red slimes are not very threatening at all, so the goopy would be the second most dangerous monster. The goopies aren't that bad on their own, but they are constantly calling for help, bringing more and more goopies into the battle, and occasionally they'll even call in a granite titan, which is a big enemy that you will need to take seriously. If you allow these guys to keep calling in reinforcements, you can rack up a lot of experience points in a single battle, but we'll find some better ways to gain experience points in this world soon enough, so I recommend just using items like the Sword or the Staff of Thunder to get rid of all the goopies at once. Defeating all of those goopies has brought our sage up to level 23, and it looks like she gained 12 hit points, 5 magic points, and 2 new spells. Pretty good. Let's take a look at our status and see what we learned. And it looks like on the wizard side we got Boom, which costs 9 magic points and hits all enemies on the screen for 52 to 67 damage. On the pilgrim side we learned the spell of Beat, which costs 7 magic points and will attempt to outright kill a single enemy. This small house is situated on the location of the town of Garinham in the original game. When you talk to the people here, they seem to be the parents of a guy named Garin, and they say that he took his silver harp with him when he left, but that's actually some misinformation. If you head through a hidden passage up in the top of the house, you'll find this stairway, and down here in this chest, we will find the silver harp. The silver harp is an optional item in this game, and at first it doesn't seem very exciting. When you play it out in the field, you'll be attacked by some monsters, but you can be attacked by monsters just by walking around. You don't really need the silver harp. However, we can use it at the monster arena to perform a trick, and it's going to be very valuable there. Uh-oh. 3 Cragagles is the most dangerous encounter that we can meet out here in the sea. You may remember fighting the tentacles up in the World of Light. Well, those guys could attack up to 2 times per round, but these guys can attack 3 times per round. We can try out the boom spell that we just got against these guys. Technically, that counts as a fire spell. The only lightning spells in the game, I believe, are Zap and Lightning. With 450 hit points each, these guys are not going to go down very quickly, but they don't have very high defense, so at least we have that going for us. Don't forget that you can use parry on the first 3 characters in your party and then cancel the parries. That will give you the benefit of parrying, but you'll still be able to attack or cast spells. Of course, if you've seen the other 2 parts to this guide, you should be very familiar with the parry trick, but I did want to mention it once. We're being very aggressive with our magic here because we're not very far away from the next town, and as soon as we get there we can just use the inn and we'll be able to completely refill. Plus, these enemies are pretty mean, so we're using everything that we have against them. It'd be nice if we can take out at least one of these monsters, but we have been attacking the entire group with spells, so it's likely that whenever we get rid of one, the other 2 will be quick to follow. And here's another boom spell, and the thunder sword, which does the same thing but for free, and there we go. 2 of them are gone, and now only 1 remains. So we'll just do an all-out attack on this guy, and we should be able to win this battle in moments. The rewards that we get for defeating 3 Cragagles are pretty average, and for as much effort as it takes to defeat them, it might be a better idea to just run away. Our party is very powerful though, so if you want to make a stand against sea monsters, we should be able to handle it. After healing up from that previous encounter, we're going to continue sailing across the top of the map to the east. Maybe a few more heal more spells should do it. We definitely took a bit of a beating there. So we'll just keep sailing, and this time it's 3 King Murzons, which are a good bit easier than Cragagles. Sure, these guys can cast the Snowblast spell or summon an Elysium bird, but they only get 1 action per round, and they only have 120 hit points, so they should go down pretty fast. You also have that 1 in 64 chance of finding the magic Bikini, so make sure if one of these guys summons an Elysium bird, you try to kill that before you finish the Murzons off. 1 more round of combat should do it. Attack, 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 attack. And he called for reinforcements, bringing in the Elysium bird, so we're not going to be finding the magic Bikini this time. A little bit obnoxious, but it should not be hard to finish the battle from here. And the Elysium bird ran away. Good idea, bird. And with that, our hero has gone up to level 28. 5 points of vitality, so you know we're going to get a lot of HP, and we did. We got 10 out of that level, but no new spells. We'll need to do a little bit more healing, but not even close to as much as we had to do after the previous fight. A couple regular heals ought to do it, and then we'll continue heading to the east. So we're sailing along, and whenever you see this tower, you're going to want to go around it and then start heading south. That's the tower where the spirit of Rubius is being imprisoned, so we do need to go in there, but it's a very challenging dungeon, and we're not ready for it just yet. Once again, we were attacked by 3 King Murzons, and this time they did not summon an Elysium bird, but they didn't drop the magic bikini either. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find it the next time we fight the King Murzons. Until then, we're going to heal our party just in case we get attacked by monsters as soon as we start moving again. That's something that can definitely happen. And if we don't get attacked, we're going to try to get off of our ship right past those orange hills. The orange hills have the highest encounter rate in the overworld, so you want to avoid walking on those when possible. And that brings us here to the Village of Kol. Here in the Village of Kol, there's a very skilled swordsmith, and when we talk to this guy, we find out that the Sword of Kings was shattered into pieces by the Archfiend, and those pieces are the Oricon that we found in Hauksness. It turns out that the master swordsmith in this town is from the country of Japan, and when we go through this door, we can speak to his wife, who explains that when they thought they were going to become offerings to the Orochi, they fled. So you're telling me that instead of just moving to the mainland, you snuck past the guards and climbed the wall at the Great Pit of Giaga, and then jumped in? To be fair, I don't think that the Orochi would have ever found you here, but there are people in witness security that think that's overkill. In any case, this guy confirms that the Sword of Kings was made out of Oricon, and when we talk to this guy, he tells us that the man from Japan is upstairs, so that's where we're going to go next. Whenever we talk to him, this seems like your average item shop. So how do we give him the Oricon? Well, we can sell it to him. And here's the best part. Not only can we sell this guy the Oricon, but he pays us 22,500 gold pieces for it, which is very generous. We're going to have to pony up a whopping 35,000 gold pieces to actually buy the Sword of Kings, but considering we get 22,500 for selling the Oricon, that definitely softens the blow quite a bit. Over here is the weapons and armor shop, and you can buy the water flying cloth here, which is excellent armor if you happen to have a wizard in your party, but they're the only ones that can equip it. If you head up here, this woman tells you that these are the open air baths, and if you remember the clue, the fairy flute is 4 steps south, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll search right here and find the fairy flute. Do not forget to get that before you leave town. It is a mandatory item. This woman tells us that the sphere of light can be used to weaken the Archfiend, something that we've definitely heard before. And if we walk through the brush, we can talk to one more guy that's hanging out below the inn. So just stay close to the wall, and here he is down here. This guy wants us to know that the spirit of Rubius is sealed inside a tower to the west, which is that one that we passed on the way here. You'll need to exit and re-enter the town before you can buy the Sword of Kings, and when we head back to the item shop, you'll see that it's now available for purchase. However, it costs 35,000 gold pieces and we're a little bit short. The good news is, we won't be short for much longer because we just found the silver harp and we can use it to make a ton of money. So we're going to cast our return spell and go back to Aliahan. We'll stop at the vault like we often do and drop off any items that we don't need. And then we can stop back over at Ray's mom's house to spend the night. Or can we? Nope. After you defeat the Archfiend, your mom closes down the free inn. Mom says that she's proud, but I still miss the Hot Pockets. If you want to restore your HP and MP, you're going to have to do it at the inn, just like everyone else. After we get a good night's rest, The next thing we're going to do is cast our return magic so that we can go back to the village of Zoma. Theoretically, you can go back to any town or village that has a monster fighting arena. It does not have to be this one. Let's try out that silver harp. Whenever you play it, you will automatically trigger a battle, and it's going to be against whatever monsters you could normally fight in this area. So we have 2 Kongs and 2 lethal armors, which should be pretty easy for characters of our level to handle. Remember, the Kongs could summon Elysium birds. They probably won't have a chance to do that because they'll be defeated too quickly. And now we'll just clean up the lethal armors. If you want to build up a bunch of experience points, you can just stand in one spot, keep playing the silver harp over and over again, and just fight whatever monsters you encounter. That would definitely work, and it's probably what the programmers had intended when they created this item. Just so no one is confused, you do not need to use the silver harp outside of town to be able to do this trick. I just wanted to demonstrate how it normally works. What we're going to do is make our way to the monster fighting arena, and you'll find it over here in the town of Zoma. All the monster fighting arenas are the same, so just go to any one of them that you can find, and we'll talk to this guy and see which monsters are fighting. And there's 3 monsters fighting here. We're looking for a fight that only has 2 monsters, so if there's more than 2, just exit through the stairs and come back. Whenever you leave and come back, there will be different monsters fighting, and let's see who's competing this time. Alright, perfect. Only 2 monsters. This is what we were looking for. When you see 2 monsters, you want to cancel and then use the silver harp. Using the silver harp is going to make one of the monsters disappear. After you play the harp, you'll notice that one of the monsters has dropped out of the match, and you want to bet on the blank space. Now we're going to get 1.0 odds for this blank space, which means we won't actually win any money. We'll just get back the same amount that we paid for the ticket. But you can see that since there was only one monster participating in the fight, the other one was a scratch, and we automatically won. Most of the time it won't be 1.0 odds, and you can see here we found one with 8.6, so we can actually win money this time. And 8.6 is not even very high. You may be able to find a battle where the monster you'll be betting on will give you over 200 odds, which will allow you to win a ton of money. For 8.6 odds, we're going to win roughly 2,200 gold pieces, which is pretty good for doing nothing. I like to think that whenever we play the silver harp, the other monster gets to escape and no longer has to participate in monster fights. Now that we have more than 35,000 gold pieces, let's head back to the Village of Kol and buy the Sword of Kings. The Sword of Kings can only be equipped by your hero and adds a staggering 120 to your attack, which is just insane. But that's not all. If you use the Sword of Kings as an item during battle, it'll cast the Firebolt spell for free. Firebolt is a very powerful spell that targets a group of enemies and hits each enemy in the group for 88 to 111 damage, but with a plus 120 to your attack, you may not use that ability very often. After we get the Sword of Kings, we can head back to the village of Portoga, where we can find another unique weapon, and you'll be able to get this for free anytime after defeating the Archfiend Baramis by talking to this woman. This is the Sword of Illusion, and it's another one of those items that can only be used by women. The Sword of Illusion is the best weapon that a goof-off can use, and it's pink, so that's pretty awesome, but that's not why we want it. Any woman can use the Sword of Illusion as an item during battle to cast the Chaos spell for free. The Chaos spell can confuse the enemies and turn them against each other, which gives you a whole new angle to attack the monsters with. The Sword of Illusion is not very likely to be successful against these ghouls, so we're not going to be using it here, but we will be using it against a lot of the enemies that we encounter out here in the field. The most obnoxious thing that these enemies can do is cast the spell of Surround, and if one of your characters is surrounded by the Cloud of Mirages, they will be more than 50% likely to miss whenever they use a melee attack. Unfortunately, right now, all 4 of our characters are surrounded by the Mirages, so now's a good time to use items that double as spells, or just straight up cast some magic. Of course, our hero hits so hard that if she does connect to one of these ghouls, she's going to kill it in a single shot. So we'll have her attack, and we can have the fighter attack as well because he doesn't have a lot of other options. But between the Sage and the Pilgrim, we have plenty of offensive magic to try, or the Staff of Thunder. So we'll have our Sage cast Firebane, we'll use the Staff of Thunder to deal a bit more damage, and now there's only one ghoul left, and something that you're also seeing happening here. Whenever the enemies do a melee attack on our hero, she's wearing the Sword Edge armor, which deals damage back to them in return. That clears up those ghouls, but based on that battle, we're going to need some higher levels and better equipment before we take on some more challenging monsters. Once we're back in the ship, we're going to continue sailing to the east, and we want to go all the way around this continent and then start heading south. This is going to bring us around to where the village of Rimuldar is, and that's where we want to head next. So just keep sailing past this break in the land, go down past this forest, and when you see that little desert on the left, that's where you want to start heading inward. The enemies in this area are typically more difficult than the ones near the village of Kol, and these 3 Skalgons are very powerful. They have very little resistance to the Sword of Illusion though, so we have a 70% chance of confusing one whenever we use it. You can see now that Skalgon C is confused, and so he's using his attacks against the other monsters instead of our party. Whenever we defeat all the other enemies, Skalgon C will start attacking our party again, but for now, he's on our side. So you can see how useful that Sword of Illusion is. It was effectively a 2-for-1, removing one enemy from combat and converting him to our team. And Skalgon C actually just dealt the death blow to Skalgon A, allowing us to finish the battle. With that victory, Kylo has risen to level 28, gaining several points of agility, a bunch of luck, some HP, and some MP, as well as a new spell. So let's take a look at his status and see what he learned. This time he learned the spell of Defeat, which is a lot like the spell of Beat, except this time it costs 11 magic and targets an entire group of enemies instead of just a single monster. Here we've encountered 3 Darth Bears, and these are not as dangerous as the Skalgons, and just as weak against the Sword of Illusion, so hopefully we'll be able to convert one, and we have. Darth Bear B is now on our side, and just put a serious hit on Darth Bear A. With only 2 Darth Bears left and one of them confused, we should have no problem winning this battle, although I wish that our party would stop attacking Darth Bear B and would focus their attacks on Darth Bear A, but there's no way to tell them to do that. With the Darth Bears out of the way, we want to just continue walking around these gray mountains, and then follow this grassy path that will lead us to the village. Before we get there, we've been attacked by 3 Skalgons again, so remember, just use the Sword of Illusion to turn one of them to our side, and just have everyone else attack, and you should have no problem defeating these guys. So a couple more attacks and they'll be gone, and we can continue making our way to Rimuldar. As usual, make sure that you're healing after each battle. Those Skalgons can attack you, or they can use a freezing breath attack, and that breath attack doesn't deal a ton of damage, but it does hit all 4 of your party members, which often results in a lot of healing once the battle concludes. Once everyone's in good shape, we'll continue walking around, and we'll cross this sandy land bridge that will take us into town. This time we were only attacked by 2 Darth Bears. You probably don't need to use the Sword of Illusion when there's only 2 of them. And it seems that our fighter has risen to level 27, gaining 9 points of HP, and our sage has also leveled up to 24. Let's see what she got. A few points of HP, a few points of MP, and 1 new spell. Let's take a look and see what spell we got. This time we learned the spell of Bounce, which is a wizard spell that puts up a barrier, and that barrier will reflect magic spells back at the caster, which sounds good in theory, but it could interfere with you getting healed, so it's not one that I use very often. This is the town of Rimuldar, and if you remember this one from the original Dragon Warrior, this was a very important town because this is where you had to go to buy keys. We don't need any more keys in this game, so this town is not nearly as important to visit, but we will find a few points of interest while we're here. This woman is utterly shocked when we tell her that there's another world above this one, and this fortune teller explains that we need to use the rainbow drop on the western end of this very island. So that's all good to know, and whenever we head up the stairs, we'll find a pretty typical house of healing, but you'll notice that there's more to this room down below. We can't go through the wall, and we do want to go and talk to the people in that strange prison, so we'll have to find another way to get in there, presumably through the other set of stairs that we can see. For now, we're just going to head back outside, and whenever we talk to this knight, he's very concerned that somebody might steal the baggage that he left at the inn, because there's an important item in there from our father, Ortega. Well, it turns out that this guy was right to be concerned, because we're totally about to go steal that item. The inn costs 80 gold here, which is less than it costs in Hauksness, but more than it does in Tantegel, and if we unlock a few doors down here, we'll find a new accessory, the Ring of Life. To equip the Ring of Life, you need to use it as an item from the item menu, and then it will become equipped, and whenever you're equipped with it, that character will get back 1 hit point for every step they take out in the field, so it's not the greatest item in the world, but those extra points can definitely add up. Up here we'll find the weapons and armor shop, and they sell the Sword of Destruction, which looks pretty exciting considering that it costs a fortune and adds 110 to your attack, but the curse that it contains is quite bad, so I don't recommend buying this one. Over here we'll meet a woman that tells us about the Charm of Rubius, which is another accessory, although this is one that only our hero can wear, but it's also a mandatory item that we'll need to be able to get the rainbow drop. If we head over here and talk to this old man, we can find out about the fate of our father Ortega. It seems that he didn't know how to cross to the evil island and lost his life in the ocean depths. This is now the 2nd time in this game that our father has died, and although it may be a little bit easier this time, I was kinda hoping that we'd find him alive. If we head out here and walk around the outskirts of town, there's a couple more people that we can speak with. This woman up here is waiting for her boyfriend, and I certainly hope she's not holding her breath, because she might be waiting for that guy for quite some time. And if we head over this way, if you played the original game, you'll remember that this is where you go to buy keys, but in this game, the old man is still learning how to make them. He says he'd like to take a look at the magic key at least once in his life, and although this is completely optional, if you were to go back to Aliahan, retrieve the magic key from the vault, and then come back here and talk to him when you have it in your inventory, he'll tell you that he's thinking of making the same thing and selling it. You don't really get anything for showing that guy the magic key, so doing it is just for fun. But before we leave, there was that weird prison room in the bottom of the House of Healing that we haven't visited yet, so that's where we're going to go next. there's actually a secret passage in this large building, so you want to come down here, and the passage is right near this tree. So you just walk up through there, and head up the stairs. Inside you'll find a guard who tells you that the prisoner is a liar who is constantly deceiving everyone, but that's just not true. This guy has a very important clue. The prisoner tells us that there's a secret passage behind the throne in the castle of the Archfiend, which is very valuable information. Without that clue, you'll never find your way to the final boss. Before we leave, we'll stop over here at the inn to restore our HP and MP. And now that we've visited the town of Rimuldar, there's only one more village in this entire world that we haven't been to yet. So that's where we're going to head next. We're going to make our way to the town of Cantlin. To get to Cantlin, we're going to head back to our ship, and if you got back to the village of Rimuldar using the return magic, you may wonder, where is the ship? Well, it's going to be over here on the east coast, so make your way over to that side, and it looks like we were attacked by 3 more of those Skullgone enemies. We definitely know how to deal with them. Use the Sword of Illusion to turn one of them against the others, and then just finish them off. It looks like this battle got a little bit dicey with our pilgrim down to 19 HP for a moment there, but in the end it was no sweat. We'll cast a few healing spells to get everybody back in good shape, and then we're going to continue to follow this forest south. We'll find the ship moored on the right side in a small inlet. It'll be slightly past the city of Rimuldar itself. So a few more heals should do it, and then we'll start walking. And this time we were attacked by 4 wyverns and a Metal Babble. Metal Babbles are worth more experience points than any other enemy in the game, including bosses. Just like the metal slimes we fought earlier, they're pretty hard to hit, and they often just run away, which is what happened here. Metal Babbles are worth so many experience points that when I see one, I like to focus all of my attacks on it, and just hope that maybe we get a critical hit, or get otherwise lucky, and are able to kill it. This time we weren't as lucky, so we're just left with the 3 wyverns. These guys aren't too bad. Sometimes they use flaming breath attacks, other times they just attack, but we should be able to defeat them pretty easily with some melee fighting. The good news is we didn't take very much damage there, so we don't really need to do a lot of healing, and we'll just continue heading south. This time we ran into 3 Darth Bears. You know what to do against these guys. Use the Sword of Illusion to turn one of them against the others, and then just attack until they're gone. Got a few thousand experience points there, and Ray has risen to level 29, gaining 6 points of vitality, which has amounted to 10 points of HP, and she learned a new spell. We'll take a look at her stats and see what we learned. This time it was the spell of Heal More, which is one that I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's nice to have a third character that can cast it. We're going to need to cast Heal More a lot of times to recover from that battle, so I'm just going to skip past it, and then we'll continue heading towards the ship. But once again we've encountered 3 Darth Bears, so same thing as last time, Sword of Illusion, fight, and these guys are gone. And as we head down here, there it is, there's our ship, but before we can reach it, oh, here's a new one, a wyvern and a gold basher. We've certainly seen the wyvern before, but gold bashers are worth quite a bit of money if you can kill it. It only has 210 hit points, so it shouldn't be very difficult to do, and all gold bashers really do is attack you, and occasionally they might run away. So if you see gold bashers, it could be a good chance to make some cash, but we have the silver harp already, so money is not really a problem anymore. And as usual, we'll do a couple healing spells, and then we'll finally get back into this ship and hit the seas. Looking good. Hop in, and we're just going to start sailing south. In addition to the village of Cantlin, there are a couple of other points of interest over here in the lower right corner of the map, including the Shrine of Honor, which is located directly where our ship is now, and that's where we need to go to get the rainbow drop, but we don't have everything we need to get it just yet, so after we clear these King Murzons, we're going to continue sailing over here to the left, where we'll find another shrine. This one is surrounded by swamp, and we do want to stop into this one. The enemies on the land are definitely different from those at sea, and these ones got the jump on us, but it just gave two of those red slimes the opportunity to run away, and they'll get to continue living their red slime lives. You can probably guess that the Darth Bear is the priority target here, and once he's out of the way, the red slimes will be easily defeated. I'd be surprised if they can deal us more than a single point of damage. For our efforts, we'll get about 700 experience points, and then we can head on inside. This is the Shrine of the Swamp. Whenever we talk to this fairy spirit, we'll be given the Staff of Rain completely for free. The Staff of Rain is a mandatory weapon that we'll need to make the rainbow drop, but if you use it as an item during combat, it'll cast the stop spell magic for free. On the way out, we ran into 4 Magiwyverns and 1 red slime. The red slime is no big deal, but those Magiwyverns are constantly trying to cast the chaos spell, and that can confuse your characters, which is very dangerous. Confused characters will attack other members of your own party, and they might even use magic. If one of your characters gets confused, you should probably just run away. Magiwyverns can also cast Heal All, which is quite annoying, and will make you want to focus all of your attacks on them until they're dead. There is some incentive to fight these guys though. If you kill it last in combat, there's a 1 in 64 chance that the Magiwyvern will drop the mysterious hat, and that's that special helmet for spellcasters that reduces the cost of spells. With that, our Pilgrim has risen to level 29, gaining 7 points of vitality, which translates to 14 points of HP. Back in the ship with the Staff of Rain in our possession, we're going to continue our voyage to the village of Cantlin. So keep making your way until you see this bridge, and you want to dock your ship on the left side of the bridge and start walking to the north. And here we have 2 boss trolls. Just last week, one of these was the king of the city of Somano, and now they're just a standard enemy type that you can fight here in Alefgard. It seems like if you're playing the Game Boy Color version of this game, that the boss trolls do not appear as standard enemies, so that's a bit of a difference from the NES version. These guys hit hard and regenerate health, so whenever you encounter 2 boss trolls, you need to sort of treat it like a boss fight. Use your By-Kill spell to double up your attack power on your hero and your fighter. That'll make sure that you're able to deal significant enough damage to penetrate the regeneration. Once you have By-Kill on both of your big attackers, you can switch to a full-on attack for your entire party. But watch out, the boss trolls do have a high chance of getting a critical hit, so you may need to make your Pilgrim start doing some healing magic if things get desperate. We'll use our parry trick so we don't take much damage, and when there's only 1 boss troll left, we should be able to handle it with a full-on attack. 22 damage to Ray, no big deal. And with that hit, Kylo has finished him off. And our Sage has risen to level 25, gaining 2 points of strength, a couple agility, 3 points of intelligence, and we learned 2 new spells. Let's take a look at our status and see what spells we learned. On the wizard side, we got Day-Night, which costs 18 magic points, and that seems a little bit steep to simply change day to night, especially considering we're already in a world of perpetual night. And then we also got the spell of Vivify on the Pilgrim side. That's one we might actually use, you know that you can use that one to revive a dead character, but there's a 50% chance that it will fail and they only come back to life with half of their hit points. Still, the more characters that know Vivify, the better. That spell can definitely bail us out of a bad situation. And we're just going to cross over this bridge, and down here, nestled in between these orange hills, is the fortress city of Cantlin. Apparently, as a fortress, this place is not very impressive, because according to that soldier, it would never survive an attack from the Archfiend. Over here, it's our good friend Garin. He tells us that he left his silver harp at home, but we kinda know that already. The inn in this town costs 100 gold pieces, but thanks to Garin's silver harp, we have all the money in the world, and we don't care how much it costs anymore. When we head upstairs, we can meet what appears to be a 3-person family living in a studio apartment. This guy says, "I'll die no matter what, it's no use working." And that's not a great attitude to have, my man. This woman is pretty sad about her child, and that kid, well, he says that we look tough. Well, thanks, kid. If we head over here, we can unlock this door and speak with this old man. This guy wants us to know that he's creating a monster to protect the town, and he's going to call it Golem. If you haven't figured it out yet, this game takes place in a time period before the original Dragon Warrior game. It's a prequel. There's been evidence in all of these towns that shows that this game takes place in the past, so you probably figured it out already. But the way the timeline works, this would be the first game in the trilogy, followed by the original Dragon Warrior, and then Dragon Warrior 2 would be the last part. Dragon Warrior 4 is part of a different trilogy called the Zenithian Trilogy, which is kinda different. A lot of elements connect the 3 games in this trilogy together, mostly the locations here in the Alefgard area. If you talk to this guy, he tells us that we need to visit the old man at the shrine if we want to be able to go to the island of the Archfiend, and he's talking about the Shrine of Honor, where we'll get the rainbow drop. And if you need to know exactly how to make the rainbow drop, well, this old man down here will tell you. So we're going to cast Step Guard to avoid damage from those barriers, and then we'll talk to this guy, who tells us that we need 3 items: the Stones of Sunlight, the Staff of Rain, and the Charm of Rubius. He calls the charm the Sacred Amulet, and while we probably could have figured out that we need the Stone of Sunlight and the Staff of Rain to make the rainbow drop, that 3rd item is sort of like a secret sauce, and it's not super obvious. Down at the end of this hallway, we'll find the game's last portal to the monster fighting arena, and it does know that it should be nighttime because we're in the world of darkness, but otherwise it's the same exact monster fighting arena that we've seen everywhere else, and we could use the money, so we'll look for a good fight, and this is the one that we've been looking for all along. We'll use our silver harp, and we're going to get 230.1 odds, and there's only 2 monsters fighting, so we're going to win automatically. Jackpot. So here we go, make sure to bet on the empty space after you use the silver harp, and we instantly win 62,128 pieces of gold. Now, you can make a bet when there's more than 2 monsters. If the odds are juicy enough, it might be worth giving it a try. You're going to place your wager on the empty space, but we're cheering for whichever monster was directly below the empty space, so this time it's Metal Slime A. In my experience, a lot of these fights involving metal slimes go to a draw, but every once in a while you may be able to win. And when you do, well, we got 52,678 pieces of gold for that. And now that's more gold than the game knows how to display, so it just shows a bunch of 9s. To be clear, Your gold is not capped at 99,999. That's just the most that the game can display. We have a lot more money than that. We're going to go shopping here in the town of Hauksness, and the first thing that we're going to buy is the most expensive item in the game, the revealing swimsuit. Now we're just going to buy that for fun. You don't actually need it, but something that you do need is a shield of strength for each one of your characters, so make sure that you buy 4 of them, even if your characters are unable to equip it. We're going to be using those in the next dungeon. If you want to see what the revealing swimsuit does, we'll equip it right now. The revealing swimsuit will change the look of whoever wears it, but even wearing this very feminine swimsuit, there are some people in this game that will still refer to your character as the son of Ortega. Those people will never learn. As far as armor is concerned, the revealing swimsuit is not good. So unless you're trying to challenge yourself, the revealing swimsuit is not recommended. Before we go, we can sell off the silver shield. Ray won't be needing that anymore now that she has the shield of strength. And then we'll cast our return spell and head back to the town of Brecconaly. Back in Brecconaly, we're going to stop by the inn and we'll spend the night here so that we can restore our HP and MP. And once everybody's back in good condition, we should definitely stop by the castle and save the game, because we're about to go and do the first dungeon of this dark world, and it's probably a good idea to save just in case some kind of disaster happens. Once we're back outside, we're going to follow this grassy path to the north, and it looks like we've been attacked by a red slime and 3 ghouls. We've certainly fought these enemies before, but I wanted to demonstrate using those shield of strength that we just bought. So what we can do is try to take out the ghouls, and when there's only 1 enemy left, that last enemy is not going to be a big threat to our party, so we can have everyone use their shield of strengths to restore their health, and then we can just finish the battle. Ideally, the only enemy left will be the red slime, and if he doesn't run away, we'll have a great opportunity to heal ourselves. So now we can use our shield of strength items, and it's going to be like everyone cast heal more on themselves for free. Now obviously free healing magic is pretty good, but it's way more important than it sounds, because in the next dungeon, you're not going to be allowed to use magic at all. It's kinda like that basement in the pyramid where we found the golden claw. If you try to cast spells, they'll be blocked. You know what doesn't get blocked though, is the shield of strength. So that's going to be one of the only ways that we can heal ourselves when we're in this next dungeon, and we're going to be very happy to have it. We'll just speed through this battle with 4 ghouls. You've seen that one before. If there's only 1 ghoul left, you can take that opportunity to heal your party using your shields. And it seems that our fighter has risen to level 28, gaining 10 points of agility, which is absurd, and a nice 6 to HP. Let's take a look at his stats. 141 agility, 164 attack power, not bad. And here is the cave north of Tantegel. I'm certainly glad that we don't have to worry about our torch burning out this time around, and we'll just make our way to the stairway in the lower right corner. And here's our first battle of the dungeon, a Hydra and a Salamander. These 2 enemy types are very similar. They both do breath attacks which damage your entire party, and that's kind of annoying considering that healing yourself is not going to be easy down in this dungeon. I had all of our party members concentrate their attacks on the Hydra in hopes that we can take it out in a single round, and now we'll do the same thing on the Salamander. We'll try to take it out in a single round as well, and well, it'll be easy to do that if we get a critical hit out of our fighter. And then we're going to continue traveling through the dungeon. We won't have to do any healing between battles because healing spells are not going to work down here. So we'll just work our way to the lower left corner and then work your way up the left side until you reach this wall, and then you just want to go clear across to the right, head up a little bit, and then double back to the left to find the stairway that leads to the final basement of the dungeon. We'll use our key to open up this door. You could go around to the left, but this path will take us closer to the first chest. And this one contains money, as does the next chest over here on the right. The third chest on the right contains a Stone of Life, so that's a better item, and if you don't remember what it does, if an enemy would kill you with a beat or a defeat spell and you have a Stone of Life in your inventory, the Stone of Life will be destroyed instead. So we'll transfer that to our hero for now. Avoid this next chest at the bottom, that one is a mimic, but this one is the chest we've been looking for. It contains the Shield of Heroes. Just based on the name alone, you won't be surprised to find out that this is the best shield that our hero can use. It gives you plus 50 to defense, and it helps protect against breath attacks. So yes, this is an excellent piece of armor. If you want to be able to get out of here quickly, you'll notice that there's a big pit in the middle of the room, and there was a guy over in the Town of Brecconaly that mentioned a strange fissure in the bottom of this cave. Well, when you jump in there, if you were hoping for an easy way to get out of here, you're going to be disappointed because it just spits you right back out. Without access to the outside spell, to get out of this dungeon, we're just going to have to go back the same way that we came in. And here we've been attacked by a Troll King and a Winged Demon. The Winged Demon gets 2 attacks per round, and most of the time it just does an attack, but it occasionally will cast the Blaze Most or Healless spells, so you want to take that guy out first. The Troll King is pretty dangerous. He regenerates health and he hits hard, but he's not actually as bad as the boss trolls that we were fighting earlier. So once you get the Winged Demon out of the way, the Troll King shouldn't be too bad. With those two out of the way, we're going to continue crawling out of this dungeon. So we'll head down here on the left side, and this time we've been attacked by 2 Troll Kings, although it was nice of the game to break them up into 2 separate groups. Fighting 2 Troll Kings is probably the most common encounter that you're going to see in this dungeon, so you need to know how to win this one. When they're broken up into 2 separate groups, you can focus all of your attacks onto a single king, and if you're pretty good, you should be able to kill it in 1 round. They only have 250 health. That way you don't even have to worry about the regeneration. Then we can focus our attacks on Troll King B, and a couple more should do it. This time we weren't able to kill it in a single round, so we'll just make everyone fight, fight, fight. We could have some of our characters use the Shield of Strengths, but our HPs are still pretty high, so we're not too concerned. And it seems that our hero has risen to level 30. Nice! This time she gains 3 points of intelligence, which translates into 6 points of MP, so that's pretty good. And we'll take a look at her stats. 211 attack power. That's pretty good. That's your Sword of Kings doing work. And we've been attacked yet again, this time 2 winged demons and a salamander. The way these monsters are broken up, if we all attack the salamander, we should be able to kill it in the first round, possibly before the salamander gets to attack at all. Now remember, the winged demons get to go twice. Sometimes they might try to cast magic like the Blaze Most spell, and that is good because you're not allowed to use magic in this dungeon, so that spell will be blocked. Anytime that they try to use magic, it's essentially going to waste their turn. Don't make the same mistake as them, don't try to use any magic, just continue working your way out of the dungeon. You should know how to get out of here by now. And whenever you encounter these enemies, keep fighting and you'll get some good experience points. This time, it looks like our pilgrim has leveled up to level 30, gaining a single point of strength, 3 agility, 4 vitality, 5 intelligence, wow, 12 magic points, and a new spell. Let's take a look and see what spell we learned. At level 30, our pilgrim learned the spell of Heal All, which is awesome. Heal All costs 7 magic points, but whatever character it's cast on will be refilled to their full HP. So that's one we'll definitely use. And it looks like in the very next battle, our sage has leveled up to level 26. And let's see what she got. 1 new spell, so let's see what the sage learned. And this time, it's going to be the pilgrim spell of Infirmore, which is an offense spell, but considering that we'll have access to all of the offense spells that wizards have available, our sage probably is not going to be casting Infirmore very often. And before we get out of the dungeon, it seems that our fighter has gone up to level 29 and gained 5 points of HP in addition to a few other stats. And we'll head down here to the stairway in the lower right corner, and then we just need to make our way to the stairs in the upper left, and we'll finally be out of this nightmare dungeon. Once we get outside, we can cast as many spells as we want, and the first one that I want to cast is Return. This time we're going to head to the Shrine of Zoma. Now you may be wondering, why are we going to the Shrine of Zoma? Well, it's not because we need to change professions right now. This is just a good place to set up our next power leveling trick. And if you remember the power leveling trick from part 2, we were fighting metal slimes, but here in part 3, we're going to set up a manipulation so that we can fight Metal Babbles instead. The first thing that we're going to do is change our formation so that the hero is in the front of the line. That's just going to make it a little bit easier to cast the return spell, and then we'll save our game here at the shrine. Once the game is saved, reset to the title screen, and just like the trick we did with the metal slimes, we're going to copy our save file. I don't want to erase the save file that we used for the metal slimes, so we'll copy it to Adventure Log 3 this time, and just like with the metal slimes, we're going to change the message speed, this time on Adventure Log 3, and then we're going to load up our original file. As soon as this guy is done talking, the first action that you take needs to be casting the return spell to the Town of Rimuldar, and then you're going to start walking around the town until you hit a battle. Make sure you don't bump into anything. That time it was some Darth Bears. That is not what we were looking for, so we reset the game, and now we're going to change the message speed and load up our original file again. We're going to keep doing this until we find 2 or more metal slimes, preferably by themselves this time. So we're casting Return to the Village of Rimuldar. We're walking around town and seeing what enemy we find. Have to walk pretty far this time, but don't bump into anything, that can mess it up, and it's 2 Darth Bears, so we're going to reset. And just keep doing this until you find the Metal Babbles. Now here's the good news. In this area, Metal Babbles are actually pretty common, so it won't take nearly as long to set this trick up as it did to set up the metal slimes. Now this is what we were looking for. If you find 2 Metal Babbles like this, you can attempt to fight them. They might run away, maybe you'll get lucky and you'll kill 1 or 2 of them, but whatever happens, it doesn't matter, because now that we've found this message speed, we're going to be able to make this battle happen over and over again, as many times as we want, completely on demand. The Metal Babbles ran away, that's totally fine. For now, we're going to return to Aliahan, because we need to get some different equipment to make fighting the Metal Babbles a bit easier. Now that we can spawn them on demand, we might as well get the gear that we need to fight them. Before we do that, I'm going to create a new character named Mule, and we're going to use this guy to store some of our equipment so that we don't have to pay that fee to the vault. We have some expensive equipment now, and we could store that stuff at the vault, but we'll have to pay a big fee to get it out whenever we want it back, and although we have access to limitless money using the silver harp trick, if we happen to be short whenever we want to pick our item up, well then we'd have to go back to a monster arena, bet on some fights, and just jump through a lot of hoops only to get back an item? That doesn't seem worth it, so we're going to use a mule character to store our more expensive stuff, and we're just going to use the vault for cheaper items, things like the silver harp, the staff of rain, the stones of sunlight, anything that won't cost us an arm and a leg to get back. To fight against Metal Babbles, we want to equip ourselves with 2 falcon swords, one for our hero and one for our sage. Falcon swords cost 25,000 gold pieces each, and we don't happen to have 50,000 gold on us right now, so we're going to have to go and make a few more bets at the monster arena, but we know how to fix it in our favor, so we'll bring the silver harp with us. Right now we only have 16,516 gold pieces, so we need quite a few. We can try using the silver harp, we'll get some good odds out of this fight, and if we happen to win, we'll be able to get a lot of money. Of course, the best fights are the ones that only have 2 monsters involved. This one is not a sure thing, but if it does work out, it's going to be a nice payday. And it did. We now have 59,000 more gold than we have before, and so now we can certainly afford a pair of falcon swords. The falcon swords are sold right here in Brecconaly, and they're not very impressive on the damage side. They only give you a +5. However, they let you attack 2 times per round instead of just once, and that's one of the best ways to fight Metal Babbles, so you definitely want to get 2 of these. Sadly, only heroes and sages can equip a falcon sword, otherwise you'd probably want one for all of your characters. There is a better way to beat Metal Babbles, and that is to use the spell of Bee Dragon, but that's a level 34 or higher wizard spell, and our sage is only level 26 right now, so she doesn't know it just yet. Once you learn the spell of Bee Dragon, if you cast it against Metal Babbles and they don't run away, in the next round, you'll be able to kill all of them with a fiery breath attack. Alright, now that we're equipped with our falcon swords, it's time to go Metal Babble hunting. So we'll stay at the inn over at the Shrine of Zoma, and then we'll save our game with the guy. Because we already set up the manipulation, all we need to do is save the game, and then we're going to reset. We're going to choose the same message speed on Adventure Log 3 that we used the last time, and the game will even remember which message speed that was, so you don't have to remember it. So we'll go here, we'll change the message speed 6, and then we're going to reload our original file. And remember, the very first action that you take after this guy is done talking, don't do anything else, just cast the return spell to the Town of Rimuldar. If you try to talk to somebody or do anything else, the trick won't work, so make sure you cast return, and then walk without bumping until you run into an enemy, and here, just as expected, are our 2 Metal Babbles. We're just going to have everyone attack and hope that we get lucky. Something else that you might want to try, you can have your Pilgrim cast speed up. Sometimes that will help you get in attacks in the second round before the Babble runs away. But it's mostly just luck, and if you can kill even 1 Metal Babble, you'll see that we just gained 13,400 experience points for each of our characters. and our hero leveled up, learning a new spell. So let's see what you got. This time it was the spell of Boom. Not very exciting because we have weapons that can cast it for free. But once you fight those Metal Babbles, win or lose, we're going to return back to the Shrine of Zoma. We'll talk to the guy here and save our game. If you need to, you can stay at the inn. That's not a mandatory step, but if you took a beating when you were fighting the Babbles, you may want to stop down there. And then as soon as he has saved the game, you can reset. And then all we need to do is just change the message speed on Adventure Log 3 again and reload our original game. We're going to do this over and over again so that we can keep fighting the Metal Babbles, and we're going to be able to rack up a ton of experience points by doing this. 13,400 just for killing one Metal Babble is pretty good, and we'll get 26,800 if we can manage to kill both of them. If the Metal Babbles keep running away from you, don't get too discouraged. Every so often you're going to come across them when they're off guard and bewildered, and then you'll have a very good chance of killing at least one of them, if not both. Now if you had the Bee Dragon spell and you found them off guard and bewildered, I would have the Pilgrim cast Speed Up in the first round and have the Sage cast Bee Dragon, and you would have a very good chance of killing both of them in the second round. But as it stands, if they're off guard and bewildered, I would say that you have a better than 50% chance of killing at least one Metal Babble, and we know that that's a very good payday, especially at the current levels we have. With the crazy amounts of experience points that you gain for each one of these battles, it's not uncommon to see multiple characters level up at the same time. This time we had not 2, but 3 of our 4 characters level up, and I have to admit, whenever you're gaining levels like this, it is extremely satisfying. After each fight with the Babbles, return to the Shrine of Zoma. If you need to use the inn, use the inn. Otherwise, just save with the guy, reset the game, choose that same message speed on Adventure Log 3, and just keep doing this over and over again until you have levels that are all about in the 30s. Once you get the Metal Babble fights going, leveling up becomes easy. Now I'm recommending that you get to levels in the 30s, but if you want to do some extra credit and raise your levels to obscene numbers, then by all means do it. It's only going to make the rest of the game easier. Once you're satisfied with your levels, we're going to head back to Aliahan, and we're going to transfer some of these Metal Babble fighting weapons to our mule. Those Falcon swords cost 25,000 gold each, so we probably don't want to pay the fee to get them back out of the vault, and that's one of the big reasons why we created this mule character. So use the mule to transfer some of your items, and whenever you're done, get your regular party back, and it's going to be time to go to another dungeon. It's about time that we freed the spirit of Rubius from that tower to the west of the Village of Kol, and while we're there, we'll also be able to collect the best armor that our hero can wear. This will be a good test of our new higher experience levels, and before you leave, make sure that you have the fairy flute, because you're going to need it to be able to release that spirit. Once you're all set, cast your return magic and head to the Village of Kol. We're going to stop inside just to use the inn, and then we're going to make our way to the tower. So you know where the inn is, it's up here in the upper right corner. Pay the man 124 pieces of gold. This might be the most expensive inn in the entire game. I'm not sure about that, but I think that it is. And once you're done here, we're going to head outside. And remember, your ship is going to be over to the left. So just keep walking over to the left and you'll find your ship. And we have to fight 3 Skullgons. These guys weren't that difficult before, And now that everybody's level 32, 33, and 29 at the lowest, they should be even easier. We're still going to use the Sword of Illusion though to try to confuse one of them and bring them over to our side. Skullgon A is confused and attacks Skullgon C for 50 damage, so we like that. And in round 2 here, we're just going to have everyone attack, attack, attack. These guys do regenerate a small amount of health each round, but considering that one of them is confused and only 2 of them are actively trying to fight us, we should have no problem beating these monsters. Even those breath attacks aren't dealing a lot of damage. So there's only 2 of them left, one of which is confused. So we'll just have everyone attack again, and it won't be long before this fight is over. Well, we killed off the one that was our friend, but we had to finish the battle. And now we will continue walking over to the left once we do a little bit of healing. No matter what, whenever you're fighting those guys, those breath attacks often will chip away at your health, and you'll have to do a few heals after each one of those battles with the Skullgons. Here we have the ghouls. We've certainly seen them before. They're going to be pretty easy for characters with levels in the 30s. And it seems that our hero is now level 34. Wow, with that gain of 12 hit points, it's going to put her max over 300. And we're going to pile into our ship, and we're just going to sail up here. This is the tower west of Kol. We'll use our final key to open up this door. If your sage has already learned the open spell though, you can leave your key behind at the vault. 3 Leonas is by far the most common battle in this place. Leonas mostly attack, but sometimes they cast the Snowstorm spell, and they are capable of casting the Heal All spell, which could be pretty annoying if you happen to put a bunch of damage on one and then it gets completely healed. Our fighter dodged that last attack, likely because he's wearing the Cloak of Evasion, which allows him to completely avoid 1 out of 5 attacks that come his way. After a few more swings, these abominations will be history, and we'll be able to move deeper into the tower. So we'll head up here. Those barriers can deal you a lot of damage, so we'll cast the Step Guard spell. It only costs 2 magic points, and it'll save us a lot of hassle. If you don't have a wizard or sage that can cast the Step Guard spell by now, you're going to need to do a lot of healing after you cross those barriers. The left chest here is a dangerous mimic enemy, so just open the right chest and pick up a little bit over 1,000 gold. That door on the left there is a dirty trick. You don't want to go out there. If you walk too far to the left, you'll end up outside of the tower, and you'll have to start over. If you want to get to the northern part of this floor, you'll have to jump from a higher level. And with that, our sage has leveled up to level 30, putting all 4 of our characters over 30 now. She gains 10 points of HP and 2 new spells. Let's see what you got. At level 30, we probably got Firebolt on the wizard side. Yep, there it is. That's the one that we're able to cast for free with the Sword of Kings, but our sage can't do that, so we're happy to have it. And on the pilgrim side, we learned Heal All, which is easily one of the most useful healing magics in the game, so we'll certainly get some use out of that one. 3 Leonas again? I was not kidding when I told you this was the most common battle in this tower. There's actually a good number of other enemies you might face in here, but 3 Leonas are going to come up very often. 3 of our 4 characters can cast Heal All now, so we can spread out the healing burden across multiple characters. We'll head upstairs and we're going to cross over to the right after we face a Leona and a winged demon. The winged demons were kind of a joke in that cave north of Tantegel because whenever they cast their magic spells, it would get blocked. That is not the case here in the Tower of Kol, and I would consider winged demons a priority target. We want to head towards where the Armor of Radiance is, so we're going to go right here, And 3 Leonas again. Make sure you're ready to fight these guys. If you can't handle 3 Leonas, you may need to level up a bit more. And you see on the floor there's those diamond shapes. We can just avoid them right now, but if you step on one of those, it's going to change your controls while you're on it. And you'll need to know how to deal with those to complete this tower, at least if you want to get the Armor of Radiance. Here we have 2 Leonas and 1 Metal Babble. You can try to attack the Metal Babble, but let's face it, if we want to fight Metal Babbles, we would just do it near Rimuldar where we can make them appear on demand. So I would actually just focus on fighting the Leonas in that situation, considering that the Babble is likely to flee anyways. Here we have a single Leona, so nothing to worry about with this one. If you can beat 3 of these guys, you can definitely handle 1. Something that you may want to know about the Leonas, they can drop the Shield of Sorrow. The Shield of Sorrow is a cursed shield, although you can potentially mitigate the curse. But at this point in the game, it's not actually very good. You would rather just use the Shield of Strength. Still, it would be a fun thing to find. And after that battle, our Pilgrim has risen to level 34. 3 points of intelligence, so that got us 5 more MP and a new spell. Let's see what he learned. This time we learned the spell of Healless, which is very useful. It costs 18 magic points, but it's going to heal every member of your party for around 50 hit points. So this is very good to counteract the effect of breath weapons or magic attacks, and you can use it in the field if you want to. If you need to cast it more than once in the field though, it may be better to just cast Heal All on all 4 of your characters. We can cast Step Guard here so that we can just walk across this barrier, but this is a good room to practice walking on those diamond tiles. Here's how the diamond tiles work. Whenever you're standing on one, rotate the controller in your hand so that up on the control pad lines up with the lighter part of the diamond. And here we just found a Vitality Seed. Remember from part 2, you do not want to eat Vitality or Intelligence Seeds. Those are bad. They'll stop you from gaining hit points or magic points when you level up, because your Vitality will be artificially higher than it's supposed to be, and the game won't give you points of Vitality whenever you level up, which means you won't gain any hit points, because you only gain hit points on level up when you gain Vitality. Works the same way for Intelligence, but for magic points instead of HP. Acorns of Life seem to be okay to eat, and there's 3 of those down here, so feel free to give those to whichever character you feel like could use a couple extra hit points. Strength and Agility Seeds are okay to eat because you get immediate benefits from those, but those benefits will be slowly washed out as you level up. Theoretically, if you can wait until you were done leveling up and then you would eat a bunch of Strength and Agility Seeds, you would see a lot of benefits from that. And we're going to walk over those diamonds. Remember, you want to rotate the control so that the up arrow is lined up with the lighter part of the diamond. Essentially, you're just going to be rotating the controller either 90 degrees clockwise or 90 degrees counterclockwise, depending on which diamond you're standing on. And up here, there's a few more chests for us to find, but 2 of them are mimics, so be careful not to open the chest in the upper right corner or the one in the lower left corner. That first chest just had some gold in it, and this one has a full moon herb, which is most likely just garbage. We do not have a lot of inventory space to spare here. We need to pick up 2 more very important items in this dungeon, and we don't want to be holding any unnecessary junk. So we'll just continue back the way that we came now that we have all the treasures, take out any squads of Leonas that pop up, and it seems that our fighter has leveled up to level 33, gaining 9 points of agility and 5 points of vitality, and you can see that translated to 9 points of HP. We'll avoid the diamond tiles for now, cast our Step Guard spell, and walk over this barrier. The next item that we're going to grab is the game's best armor, the Armor of Radiance. It's located up on the 4th floor, and the Sacred Amulet is located only 1 floor above it, up on the 5th, but we'll have to go all the way back down to the 1st floor before we'll be able to get that. So once you're up here on the 3rd floor, you want to head down to Stairway C, which will take you up to floor 4, and here we're going to have to do some walking on diamond tiles, but before that, we have to face 2 Vile Shadows and a Goopy. Vile Shadows are the true test of this tower. Sadly, as you can see, they're immune to the Sword of Illusion, and they're resistant to most types of magic. They can use a Sleep Breath attack that can potentially put your entire party to sleep, and then they like to cast Beat spells, which can kill your party members instantly. So yes, treat those as a high priority target, and if you see lots of Vile Shadows, you may want to consider running away. We know how to deal with Goopies, they just like to recruit more enemies, so just fight them whenever you see them, and if there's a lot of them on the screen, consider using a magic attack or one of your weapons that works like a magic attack. And this time we have 2 Vile Shadows with a Magia Wyvern also. Should probably run away from that one, and luckily we escaped with our lives intact. Here we're crossing those diamond tiles. So you're just going to rotate your controller so that up is in the direction of that lighter arrow. And most of these are the same, so the ones on the right are all the same, and the ones on the left are all the same. So once you have your controller rotated the correct way, it won't be hard to get across. And inside this chest is the Armor of Radiance, so you'll want to equip that on your hero right away. The Armor of Radiance is awesome. It adds 75 to your defense, helps to protect against magic and breath attacks, and it even restores a little bit of HP as you're walking around. Once you have it equipped, you can just jump in the pit nearby, which will take you back down to the 3rd floor, and then we're going to walk up here. You want to avoid this treasure chest in the corner, that's a mimic, and then we're just going to leap off the edge, which will take us down to the 1st floor, but on the back side. From here, we need to climb all the way back up to the 5th floor, but that's the only way to get there. So we'll unlock this door and head over to the left. And on the way over, we were attacked by 2 winged demons and a Leona this time. So the winged demons are your priority target. They get 2 attacks per round, and they can use a dangerous magic spell, Blaze Most, as well as Heal Us, which only works on a group of enemies. I would kind of expect that Heal Us would work on all enemies on the screen, but it seems to target a specific group, so I guess that's good for us. We got rid of one of the winged demons, so we'll want to finish the other one off. We also might want to kill the Leona last just in case we get that Shield of Sorrow, but it's not a priority here. And with just 1 Leona left, should be no problem to defeat. And we've vanquished all of our foes, gaining a bunch of experience points, and now we can make our way to the stairway, which will take us up. That was Stairway D. Over here, you can cross these diamond tiles. Remember, you're going to rotate your controller 90 degrees counterclockwise for these ones. Now here's a new enemy type, Voodoo Warlocks. These guys can do a lot of different things. They can attack you, they can use a fire breath attack, they can cast Blaze More, they can cast Increase to raise their defense, they can cast Heal All to recover some health, they can do a Curious Dance to steal your magic points, or they can even summon a Hork. So yeah, lots of different things that Voodoo Warlocks can do. If you see those arranged with other enemies, you probably want to consider them a priority target. I wouldn't consider them worse than the Magia Wyverns that can confuse your party, or the Vile Shadows that will straight murder them. And speaking of Vile Shadows, here's 4 of them. This may be the most dangerous encounter you can come across in this entire dungeon. We started off good though with a critical hit, but oh no, 2 of our party members are asleep. No, 3 of our party members are asleep and Mance is dead. Well, this turned into a disaster very quickly. Everyone is either asleep or dead, and we have no control over what happens now. Alright, our pilgrim woke up. We should try to run away, but it seems that we were blocked. Alright, still alive. Run again. Blocked. And wow, they're really going for it now, casting beat spells against our party. 2 didn't work, so we got a little bit lucky there, and we were able to escape on the 3rd run, which is a 75% chance to get away. We also got lucky and our Vivify spell worked on the first try, but that battle went poorly, and that is something that can absolutely happen in this tower. It honestly could have been a lot worse. When all of your party members are asleep or dead and the enemy is able to just freely beat on you, bad things can happen. And we're lucky to have gotten out of that one. We'll head over here and climb up this stairway, which will finally take us up to floor 5, and we just need to work our way to the middle. That's where we're going to be able to get the charm. So head down here, and we've encountered another battle. This time it's just 2 Magi-Wyverns. These guys are dangerous, but there's only 2 of them, so I like our chances. The incentive for fighting these guys, of course, is they could drop the Mysterious Hat, which is a pretty nice helmet for a spellcaster if you could happen to find it. It doesn't look like we got it this time, so we'll just continue making our way to the center where the statue is. Open up this door, and whenever we get to the statue, we need to play the fairy flute in front of it. And well, before we can reach it, 4 Magi-Wyverns this time. 4 Magi-Wyverns, this is a lot more dangerous. I'm going to have everyone fight. You may want to consider casting Stop Spell. The only problem with Stop Spell is sometimes these guys cast Bounce, so it could end up reflected back at your own party. If you happen to have the Staff of Rain on you, the Staff of Rain is a good way to do Stop Spell against these guys, but we're not going to have it for much longer. We are going to have to cash that in for the Rainbow Drop. And no Mysterious Hat again, but our hero has leveled up to level 35. Gaining a few points of HP and MP, and also learning a new spell. And with that, our Sage also leveled up, this time to level 31, so let's see what she did. 8 more magic points, no new spells for the Sage. Let's see what our hero learned. This time we learned Vivify, and you know what that one does. It costs 10 magic points, and it can revive a fallen party member, but you'd rather be doing it when you're not in a battle, because it has only a 50% chance of success, so casting it during a battle is kind of a desperate move, but it's good to have 3 characters that can revive a dead party member. Will be pretty hard to wipe out now. Once you get to the statue, play the fairy flute, and it will turn into this elf woman, who apparently is the spirit Rubius, or it could be Rubus. You pronounce made-up words however you want to. And she will give us the sacred amulet, and also promises to repay her gratitude someday in the future, which is a reference to Dragon Warrior 2, when she helps you after you bring all 5 crests to her. Of course, the thing that she gives us now is also quite good. The Charm of Rubius is an accessory that only your hero can equip, so you want to use it from the item menu to equip it, and it will protect her from beat and defeat spells, so it would have been nice to have had that against those Vile Shadows, but we'll be happy to have it moving forward. You are allowed to equip multiple accessories if you want to, so if you want your hero to have both the Charm of Rubius and the Meteorite Armband, you can do that, but you do have limited item space. We now have all 3 components that we need to make the Rainbow Drop, so that's the next thing that we're going to do. Head over to the vault and make sure that you have the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and the charm that we just found in your inventory. And once you're ready to go, we're going to cast our return spell, and this time we're going to head to Rimuldar. Once we get to Rimuldar, we need to stay at the inn to restore our health, and then we're going to walk to our ship And you know, that's a little bit of a hike. You have to walk all the way out and around town to get over to the east coast. With our HP and MP restored, we'll make our way out of town, and we'll start the trek to our ship. So you want to cross that sandy land bridge and then just start following this grassy path. It seems that we've encountered a nice variety pack of enemies here. A Darth Bear, a Metal Babble, and a Wyvern. Now you can try to kill the Metal Babble if you want to, maybe you'll get lucky. Chances are though that Metal Babble will run away. So if you want to fight Metal Babbles, you can just use the trick to fight them on demand. We should focus on fighting the other enemies, and if we happen to kill the Metal Babble, then that would just be good luck. But we weren't able to kill it that time, it ran away as it often does, and we're just going to continue walking around these mountains and heading over to the east. This time it's a single Metal Babble with a Darth Bear, so you can figure we want to focus on the Darth Bear, but we'll have a couple people attack the Babble. Maybe we'll get lucky and get a critical hit, but it shouldn't take our whole team to defeat the Darth Bear. We've vanquished all of our foes, and now we'll continue heading around. Something that you might want to try if you see Darth Bears combined with a Metal Babble is to use the Sword of Illusion, and maybe the Darth Bear could take care of the Metal Babble for you, but chances are that Babble's just going to run away anyway. So just keep making your way around, and this time 2 Darth Bears. We certainly know how to beat these guys. They're not that big of a deal for characters that are as powerful as ours are now. Over here, we're just going to follow the coastline, and there's our ship way down at the bottom. But before that, 2 Metal Babbles this time. We've certainly seen this fight before. And we got the critical hit. Alright, we were able to kill one. 13,400 experience points coming our way, and it seems that our Pilgrim was the beneficiary of that, and is leveled up to level 35. No new spells this time, but a decent gain in HP and MP, and we finally made it to our ship, and now we'll be facing the ocean enemies instead of the land ones. We haven't seen King Murzons in a while, and the Man of Wars are trivial at this point. I mean, they're just nothing. You may want to use the Thunder Sword when you see this set of enemies, because it could potentially hit all of them. They're broken up into 3 groups here, so using the Sword of Kings for the Firebolt spell might not be as good. And hopefully you'll kill the King Murzon last, so that we can potentially get a magic bikini, but we weren't that lucky this time. So we'll just keep following the coastline, and we're going to see an island down here. That's where the shrine we're looking for is located. We struggled a bit when we fought Krakakuls earlier in this guide, but we hadn't picked up the Sword of Illusion yet, which is awesome against them. It has a 70% chance of success, and if one of these guys is confused, considering that they can attack 3 times per round, that's 3 fewer attacks that's going to be going against your party, and at least 1 more that's going against the enemy, making it at least a 4 for 1 value. So right now, because Krakakul's A is confused, there are only 2 hostile enemies out there, so that means there's only potentially 6 attacks coming at us instead of the normal 9. That's a big difference. And you'll see that when they're confused, they don't usually do the full 3 attacks, but they could. So we're just going to attack, 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 and see if we can get rid of the 2 hostile Krakakuls. Alright, C is out of the way, and Kylo, don't attack him, that one's our friend. He's confused and does 2 attacks against Krakakul's B, killing it. And now that there's only 1 left, we'll put him out of his misery. I'd hate to have Krakakul's A go back to his Krakakul's home and have to tell the other Krakakuls there that he killed one of his friends. Yeah, that would be bad. We'll use 1 heal all spell to recover, and you can see that battle is a lot easier when you have the Sword of Illusion, or at least the Chaos spell available. This is the Shrine of Honor, where you can combine the Staff of Rain and the Stone of Sunlight to make the rainbow drop. You also need the Charm of Rubius, but you'll get to keep that. It seems like that's the only purpose for this shrine. Do people make rainbow drops often? Or once we leave, will this old man never see another customer? Well, in any case, once you have the rainbow drop, we can return to Rimuldar. If you need to, you can stay at the inn, and then we can head over to the Archfiend's Island and make the rainbow bridge. Pay the man 80 pieces of gold to restore your HP and MP, and then we're going to head out the door. The Archfiend's Island is located west of town, and if you remember where the castle of the Dragon Lord was from the original game, Zoma's castle's in the same spot. We've certainly fought our fair share of Skullgons before. Use your Sword of Illusion to turn them against each other, and then give them a good old-fashioned beatdown. It shouldn't take too much to beat these guys, and then we'll be back on our way. So we're just going to head out above town and go to the left. Then we're going to head up when you get to the end of those mountains. But before that, we've encountered another enemy variety pack. This time we have Darth Bear, Wyvern, and a Goopy. We can use our Sword of Illusion on the Darth Bear and then attack the other two enemies. Unfortunately, our Sword of Illusion didn't work this time. It does have a 30% chance to fail, but we were able to kill the other two enemies, so it should not take much to finish off the remaining bear. And we got a critical hit out of our Pilgrim that time. Unexpected for sure. And we'll continue on our way after a couple heal spells. So we'll use Heal More, and then we'll head up here and continue to the left. First though, we have two Wyverns and a Darth Bear, so I bet you can guess what we're going to do here. That's right, we'll use the Sword of Illusion on the Darth Bear and focus our attacks on the Wyverns. And we got another critical hit. Our party's been criticals hit central here. The Darth Bear is not confused again, so that's kind of annoying. That's twice in a row, which is statistically unlikely. But it's fine, our party is powerful enough. We'll just keep attacking, and we should be able to finish this one off, no problem. From here, we do need to walk across some of those orange hills, which we know have a high encounter rate, so it's no surprise that we'll encounter a few monsters here. Just a couple Darth Bears and a Metal Babble that quickly took off. So you know how to beat some Darth Bears. And it looks like our fighter has risen to level 34, gaining 6 points of vitality, which translated to 13 points of HP. Head up across this desert section, and this is where we're going to use the rainbow drop. So just use it as an item from your inventory. A short cutscene will play, and the bridge will appear. From here, you can head on to the final castle if you want to, but there are 2 optional caves that we haven't been to yet, so we're going to visit those first. Don't forget to equip the Sacred Amulet on your hero. You can equip it by using it from the item menu. If it's not equipped, it will not protect her from beat or defeat spells. So make sure to do that, and then we're going to cast our return magic to get back to the Town of Brecconaly. And we'll head on inside and use the inn. I sure hope Mom isn't too worried about us back in the world above. I miss staying at her place. Should we tell her that Dad actually survived falling into the volcano, only to just die again in this world? I don't know. Maybe we'll just keep that to ourselves for now. The first of these optional dungeons that we want to visit is over here southwest of town. You just need to go around these mountains and you can see it right there. But before we can get inside, we've been attacked by 7 red slimes, so now's a good time to try out the item mode of the Sword of Kings. We got a critical hit from our fighter, although sort of wasted it on these guys. The Sword of Kings will quickly evaporate them. And now that they're all defeated, we'll get a small amount of experience points, and we can make our way inside. I have some good news about the cave south of Tantegel. The enemies in here are nowhere near as dangerous as the ones in the tower west of Kol, so we should have a much easier time. Also, you're totally allowed to use magic here, so it's not like the cave north of Tantegel, where magic is restricted. So easier enemies, no restrictions on magic, this one should be a piece of cake. We'll take out this remaining hollow ghost. Those guys can cast some dangerous magic against you, but they don't have a lot of health. As we head over here to the right, we'll find a chest that's labeled number 2 on your map, and this one contains a wizard's ring, which is a pretty good find. Wizard's rings are one of the only ways that you can get magic points back in the field. The other way is to use the rob magic spell. But wizard's rings are nice. They do have a chance to break whenever you use them, but if they don't break, you can use it again and again. We have a nice variety of enemies here that illustrates a lot of what you'll see here in this dungeon. I would say the most dangerous enemy here is the Marauder, which gives you a good idea of how not dangerous these guys are. King Tortragons are pretty easy to kill, they love to cast the bounce spell, and you can certainly use your Sword of Illusion to try to make that Darth Bear fight for us. So we'll use our Orochi Sword to weaken the King Tortragon, but it was kind of unnecessary, and the Darth Bear that's left is confused, but there's no other enemies for it to attack, so now it will turn on us. At the conclusion of the battle, we found a treasure chest containing an agility seed, so not a super exciting prize. We'll just eat that right up, and then we'll continue on our way. We're trying to make our way to the stairway that you can see on the screen now. That is stairway A, and that will take us to the next floor. You don't want to take that one in the upper left corner, it leads to a dead end. And before we head down here, which will take you to the stairs, we can quickly come up here to get another chest. Here we have 3 Darth Bears, try to confuse them with the Sword of Illusion and beat them up. And then we will be back to looting this dungeon of treasure. And we'll head down here. This one only contains money, but before that it looks like we've been attacked again. A single Marauder and a King Tortragon. Oh no! Whatever shall we do? Well, we can use the Orochi Sword to weaken the Tortragon and focus most of our attacks on the Marauder. I guess the Marauder is the more dangerous one here. I'm not super worried about this King Tortragon that'll probably just cast Bounce, and that's exactly what it did. The Bounce spell is not good at stopping the spell effects of items, so our Orochi Sword just went right through it, lowering the King Tortragon's defense by 100 points. And then we'll open up this chest, we'll get our 1016 pieces of gold, which is a pretty specific number, and one that you'll find in a number of chests. 3 Darth Bears again. These guys certainly look threatening with their wide open mouths dripping with saliva. Are these bears rabid? And why are they called Darth? Are they Dark Jedi in some way? Well, in any case, we'll head around here to the stairway, but before that, we've been attacked by 3 Marauders this time. These are the same old Marauders that we encountered way back in the cave to Necrogond, and they're up to their same old tricks. They get 2 actions per round, but their attack is not very powerful against our current levels of armor. However, they can do a breath attack, and there it is there. That breath attack has potential to make all of our party members numb. We just dodged it twice, so we got a bit lucky there. The numbness breath is annoying, but we should have no problem finishing off these Marauders, especially with levels in the 30s. And with that, we'll finally make it to the stairway, and once we get in here, we're going to head over to the right. First, we've been attacked by 2 Hollow Ghosts and a Dancing Jewel. So those Hollow Ghost enemies, they can cast the Beat spell against us, or the Defeat spell. Either one could be bad, so you want to get rid of them right away. The Dancing Jewel just casts a bunch of annoying magic, but it's worth a lot of money if you can kill it. so I would prioritize the hollow ghosts and then worry about the dancing jewel. Down here we'll find an invisibility herb, which, similar to the invisibility spell, makes your party invisible. It seems that you can't be attacked by enemies when you're invisible, but it doesn't last very long, so I don't think using invisibility is a very viable strategy in this game, but not for nothing, that's what it does. The big prize in this dungeon is the Armor of Hades, and to get it, we want to head down to the lower left corner. After defeating those two Darth Bears, our hero has leveled up to level 36, gaining a lot of agility and vitality, and with it a decent amount of HP. Our sage has also leveled up. She reached level 32, and she gained a decent amount of HP and MP, and this time, 2 new spells. So we'll take a look at our hero first and just see her stats, and then let's look at the sage and see what she learned. I don't think we had ice spears before, which is obviously an ice-based spell. It costs 9 magic points, and you can use it against an enemy group to deal 60 to 79 damage to each enemy in that group. The other spell we got was Curse Off, which is not super exciting, but it will save you a trip to the House of Healing if you need to remove a curse. And here we have 3 hollow ghosts and a King Tortragon. You won't be surprised to find out that we want to get rid of those hollow ghosts right away, so we're going to focus our attacks on them, and then we can finish off the Tortragon once those hollow ghosts are out of the way. We probably only need 1 more attack on the hollow ghost to finish it off, and we might as well use our Orochi sword to soften up that Tortragon so that we can finish it off quickly. 1 more shot should do it, but wow, the King Tortragon actually got us with some flaming breath. It's not every day that one of those deals some damage to us, but it did pay with its life when we got him with a critical hit. Keep following this hallway along, and we've been attacked by 2 goopies this time, which should be very easy for our party to defeat. Just a few attacks should do it. These guys do love to summon in more goopies to fight us, and occasionally they might bring in a Granite Titan. As we continue along, we're trying to find the Armor of Hades. The Armor of Hades is cursed, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. The Armor of Hades reduces magic damage against you by 75%, which is awesome, and the curse is just that sometimes your melee attack won't work, so if you convert a spellcaster into a soldier, you won't even have to worry about the curse if you're just using magic. This time it seems that the goopies have summoned a Granite Titan, so it's on now. A Granite Titan is a very powerful enemy. It has 350 hit points, and it gets 2 attacks each round. So if you see one of these, you're going to need to take it seriously. A Granite Titan is by far the most dangerous enemy you might see in this dungeon, but it will only appear if a goopy were to summon it. Granite Titans take up a good bit of space on the screen too, so if there are already a lot of enemies there, goopies are not able to summon a Granite Titan, so keep that in mind. If the screen is filled up with goopies, Granite Titans will not be coming. And here we have 3 goopies, so we'll try to get rid of them, and they summon the Granite Titan again. So we'll take him out in a couple rounds, and then we will keep heading around this corridor, which will lead to a dead end with 2 chests in it. If we can stop getting attacked by goopies for 5 minutes. So just keep on heading up here, and this time we were attacked on the screen transition, and as you know from previous parts of this guide, whenever you transition between 2 rooms in a dungeon, you have a very high chance of meeting a monster. So keep that in mind, you want to be ready to fight whenever you transition between rooms. And here, of course, we want to get rid of those hollow ghosts. Once those are out of the way, we'll take out the much less threatening King Tortragons. And you can see they already did their thing casting the bounce spell. And now they're free to do a couple attacks. but we're going to attack them as well, so they won't have too many opportunities to hurt us. And from here, remember, not the chest on the left, it's the one on the right that contains the Armor of Hades. You don't want to open up the Mimic. And once you have it, we can cast outside to get out of here, no restriction on magic in that dungeon, and then we'll return to the Town of Kol. We're going to go to one last cave that we haven't been to yet, but unlike this one that we just visited, there are no rewards for going to this one, so this is not only optional, this is just for story and flavor purposes. So if you don't want to do this, feel free to skip it, but we're going to hit the inn first, and then we're going to start heading south from the village. You probably know where we're going if you played the original game. We're heading to the tunnel that leads to Rimuldar. So we'll just go down here, and you know there's a swamp down there, and in that swamp there's going to be a cave. That's where we're headed. First we're attacked by 4 ghouls. The ghouls are very common in this area, so keep that in mind. And we'll just keep heading down here, going around these mountains, and there's the swamp that we were looking for. And look at that, 4 ghouls again. This is the same set of monsters we were fighting near town. You'd have to get right near the cave to see a different set. We'll attack these ghouls. Oh no, 4 points of damage. And, well, several of our characters are surrounded now, and, well, now we're all surrounded. So there's that. But no big deal. We'll just keep fighting these guys, and maybe we'll try out some magic. So let's try out the Snowblast spell. We haven't used that one yet. We'll attack with Mance. We'll try Snowblast. 55 and 51 damage, not bad. And you can see that ghouls have no resistance to ice, but they also don't have resistance to fire, infernos, or lightning, so they're not resistant to attack magic at all. With the ghouls out of the way, we will continue heading towards the swamp. We'll take a little bit of damage for walking in the swamp. You can cast Step Guard to counteract that, but you only take 1 damage per step, and we have a lot of HP, so we're not going to worry about it. Here we see 2 Skullgons paired with a Goopy. A good idea, of course, is to use our Sword of Illusion on the Skullgons. Maybe we'll get one converted to our side. And you probably want to kill that Goopy right away so it doesn't keep summoning in more monsters. But those Skullgons take up a lot of space on the screen, and they weren't really going to allow the Goopies to summon anything else while they were there. We've vanquished all of our foes once again, and now we'll continue heading through the swamp, and this time we finally reached the tunnel. There are no enemies in here, although the music would make you think it's a dungeon. This is where we found the princess in the original game, and this was the only way to get over to Rimuldar, so we had to walk through this tunnel several times. You'll recognize some of the features in here, like that small area on the right where you would fight the green dragon boss. But for now, the tunnel is incomplete, and you can't use it to get to Rimuldar. Luckily, we have a ship in this game. Once you're done here in the tunnel, you can use your outside spell, and then we'll cast Return to go back to our hometown of Aleahan. It's time to make some final preparations before we head to the Castle of Zoma. We'll head up here to the vault and drop off any items we don't need anymore. If you're still holding on to something like the fairy flute, you can get rid of that for now. And a lot of characters in the Alefgard world have told us that we need an item called the Sphere of Light to be able to weaken Zoma, and to get it, we need to find it up here in the World of Light. It makes sense, the Sphere of Light would be in the World of Light, and the Sphere of Light is the item that the Dragon Lord stole in the original game. So that ties back to the original, just like many other things do. The Sphere of Light is actually pretty easy to find. just don't forget to pick it up before you go to the final castle, or you're in for a rude awakening when you face the final boss. You just want to take Ramia over to the Lancel area, and then start flying south. You're looking for this castle. Inside you'll find some talking horses, and in the middle of the castle, we'll find the Dragon Queen. Now, I think the implication is that the Dragon Queen is the Dragon Lord's mother, so maybe that's why the Dragon Lord steals the Sphere of Light. Perhaps he feels like it's his birthright in some way. This guy tells us that the queen is ill, but she will lay an egg in exchange for her life. And if we head over here to the door on the left side, we'll talk to another guy that essentially tells us the same thing, although in slightly less detail. Yeah, he fears that the queen is near the end of her life. There's actually a hidden door right there on the left, but we'll go through this one that we can see. So use your final key up here, and that will take you into this room with a bed, and use your key again to go through this door, and that will bring you into the central chamber. From here you want to head straight down through the wall at the bottom, and that is where the Dragon Queen is hidden. With her last dying breath, the Dragon Queen tells us that if we have the courage to fight the Archfiend, that she will give us the Sphere of Light. And then she is gone. All that remains is an egg. And for now, that's the end of the Dragon Queen story. So we'll cast our return spell and head back to Rimuldar. We'll stay at the inn one more time, and then we'll cross over to the island of the Archfiend. We've already been there once to use the rainbow drop, so we're heading right back to the bridge, but this time we're going to cross over and actually go into the castle. So we'll just head up here around town, try to stay in the grassy area to avoid encounters. If you have to fight a few Darth Bears, you know what to do about them. I feel like we've killed maybe 1,000 Darth Bears at this point, so use your Sword of Illusion and just keep moving on. And well, now it's going to be like 1,006. So take out the Darth Bears, they're not actually as scary as they look, and just keep moving on. So from here, we'll head up through the woods. 2 Darth Bears this time. Shouldn't take much to finish them. And we'll just keep going on if there's no more interruptions. So just head over here, we'll cross over the Orange Hills. No encounters in there this time, very lucky, but we did hit 3 Skullgons here in the desert. Certainly we know how to defeat them in pretty much the same way that we fight the Darth Bears, although the Skullgons are much more dangerous because they can use that breath attack that hits the whole party. And with their defeat, it seems that our Pilgrim has risen to level 36. Agility goes up 1, Vitality goes up 4, Intelligence goes up 4, 10 HP and 6 MP, and not bad. No new spells though. And now we'll cross the bridge, and this is that island of the Archfiend. We'll head through these hills, and this time we've been attacked by 2 boss trolls. Well, it's serious now. If you can't handle 2 boss trolls, you're not ready for Zoma's castle. We'll cast our by-kill spell on the hero, and we'll have everybody else attack. Doubling up our hero's attack power is going to be very helpful against enemies that can regenerate health, especially considering that there's 2 of them, and our attacks may be distributed across 2 different boss trolls. Now our fighter got a critical hit there, so that certainly helps. And these boss trolls are not dealing a lot of damage to our party, but they do have a good chance of giving us a critical hit back. Our hero just got a critical hit there, and the by-kill spell does not double up critical hits. It only doubles damage on regular hits, but that's fine. Critical hits are going to be better anyways. Use healing magic as you need it to recover from the battles. 1 heal all spell on Mance should do it. And we'll head down here through this small swamp, I believe this island is smaller in this game than it was in the original one. And then we'll just go up here and enter the Castle of Zoma. And it seems as soon as we walked in, we were attacked by a Troll King and 2 green dragons. It was only a matter of time before we encountered green dragons. They're a staple of the Dragon Quest franchise, almost as much as slimes are. You won't be surprised to find out that green dragons can attack you or use a fire breath attack, but sometimes they can also summon an Elysium bird, which is random. They are not very resistant to your Sword of Illusion, so you have a 70% chance of success if you try to confuse one. We've seen the Troll King before whenever we were in the cave north of Tantegel, so if you see this combination of enemies, I think that you should use the Sword of Illusion on the dragons, and then focus your attacks on the Troll King, and just try to get it out of the way, and then use your remaining attacks on the green dragons to finish the fight. With those enemies out of the way, we can actually get up into the castle. You can go left or right at the beginning. There's a lot of stairways on this floor, but there's only one that we're interested in, so make your way to the middle of the map. Here we have 2 green dragons without the Troll King, and the game was nice enough to break them into 2 separate groups, so we can split our attacks and have our hero and pilgrim attack one dragon, and have the fighter and sage attack the other one, and hopefully we'll be able to clear them both in a single round. And that's exactly what happened. Keep working your way up and around the corner here. If you went to the right instead of the left, you'll just be doing the opposite thing on the other side. We encountered a voodoo warlock and a hydra, and we got the jump on them, so we get a free round of attacks. Well, during our free round, our fighter got a critical hit, so I don't think that this hydra stands much of a chance. We'll just fight, and it should go down very, very quickly. So that battle was almost too easy, and from here we're just going to continue around, and when you get to this wall, head downwards. You're looking for a door that's in the middle of that room with all the statues. There it is. Before that, we have the Voodoo Warlock and the Hydra again. Voodoo Warlock should be the higher priority target, although we managed to kill the Hydra unintentionally first there. And now we'll open up the door and enter the Granite Titan room. So in this room, we're going to have to fight 3 sets of 2 Granite Titans, and until we clear all of them, we won't be able to move on. This is kind of like a mini boss fight, so make sure you're ready for it. And once you come in, you'll find out that you can't get out the back, and when you head down here, the statues will start talking to you. Ominous voices are heard. We are the guards of the Archfiend's chamber. 2 Granite Titans appear. So we fought these Granite Titans before when they were summoned by Goopies, and this time we have to do 2 of them. They are not immune to the Sword of Illusion, so if you can confuse one of these guys, that will certainly help. And as expected, it seems that Granite Titan B is confused and put quite a nice beating on Granite Titan A, killing it for us. Now our confused Titan is the only one left, so we'll just have everyone attack, and we should pretty easily be able to finish this battle. 109 damage from our hero will do it, and now we just have to do that 2 more times. You have the opportunity between fights to heal, so make sure that you do that. You definitely don't want to get clobbered by these Granite Titans. And here's the second set. One good thing is after you defeat these Granite Titans, if you were to leave and come back, you don't have to fight them again, so you only have to clear this room out 1 time. If you take a serious beating in here, you may want to consider leaving the castle, staying at an inn somewhere, and then coming back, but if you have the Sword of Illusion, you shouldn't have too much trouble with these guys. The Sword of Illusion is definitely the way to go. A couple more strikes should take out at least one of these guys, and you may be surprised to find out that the Granite Titans do not regenerate health like the Stone Hulks do. So this guy's taking a serious beating, and he should go down in a hit or two. Alright, one shot from the Sage did it. And now our fighter has leveled up to level 35, gaining 6 points of strength. That will definitely help. 5 vitality, so we got 9 HP. And now only one set of Granite Titans remains. We'll see that our fighter hits for 198 now, so that's pretty good. And make sure to heal up your party between these battles. Just one more to go, and we'll be able to move on into the throne room. After a few more heals, just move around until the enemies attack for the third time. And you know what to do by now. We're going to fight with 3 of our characters, and we're going to use that Sword of Illusion to hopefully turn one of these Granite Titans to our side. And Granite Titan B is confused. Wow, Granite Titan B just hit Granite Titan A for 75 damage? I mean, that's a lot more than our Pilgrim is doing. And in this round, I think we should be able to finish off one, if not both, of the remaining Titans. It'll all depend on what happens with the confused one. And wow, we got a critical hit in there, so it should not take much more to win this fight. He's still confused, but there's no one else for him to attack, so he's going to be attacking our party. And wow, another critical hit. Fighters just get so many critical hits when they're leveled up. It's one of the best reasons to have a fighter. With the last set of Granite Titans defeated, we'll do a little bit of healing magic, and then we'll make our way to the next room. The large stone block that was in the way before will have mysteriously vanished. Make sure to use your step guard magic to protect the party from these barriers. Then we'll head right around the throne. The prisoner in Rimuldar told us to search behind the throne, and if you search in this spot, slightly right of center, you'll find a hidden stairway, and that's where we need to go. Take this second stairway once you get inside, and then start following this path. This time we were attacked by 2 Putragons and a Lion Roar, which are some new enemy types we haven't seen yet. These Putragons are the upgraded version of the Skullgon enemies that we faced outside. The Putragons, however, do a more powerful Ice Breath attack, and although they have a lot more HP, they don't regenerate hit points. The other enemy, that green chimera looking thing, is a Lion Roar, and that's an upgraded version of the Leonas that we kept fighting over in that tower west of Kol. Sometimes those cast Bounce, but other times they cast more serious magic like Infirmost and Blazemost, so those can be kinda dangerous. I'm trying to kill it last, just in case we can get the Shield of Sorrow. It's a 1 in 128 chance, so probably not going to get it, and it's probably not even worth getting, but I would like to show it if I could make it appear. But so far, no luck on the Shield of Sorrow. And in this room, we have a lot of those diamond tiles, and it looks like a total nightmare, but if you follow this small trick, it's actually very easy. You want to start on the left side where we're at now, and then just hold up. So I'm just holding up, I'm not doing anything fancy, I'm just holding up. You'll walk all around the room, over the diamond tiles, and it'll take you right to the stairway. It's amazing. You know that to get over those diamond tiles, you just have to rotate your controller so that the up arrow corresponds to the lighter part of the diamond. But if you just know to hold up there, it's super easy. We were attacked by 2 Balrogs, which is probably a small typo and was supposed to be Balrogs. They're like an upgraded version of the winged demons that we fought earlier. And once you get up here, we're going to head over to the left, and now we're facing 3 Swordoids. These Swordoids are an upgraded version of the Marauders that we fought so many times now, and although they can deal more damage, I think they're actually a little bit easier, because they don't do that numb breath attack. Mostly they just attack you, although they can attack 2 times per round. And they can use the Heal More spell to recover some hit points, but without being able to take out your party members with a numbing breath attack, I just don't think these guys are as scary. So we're mostly just going to use melee attacks against them, and they have the possibility of dropping the Snowblast Sword. So do the Marauders, but the Swordoids have a better chance of dropping it. It's a decent weapon, but sadly at this point in the game, it's not as good as other things that we might find. Like over here, we found a cursed weapon called the Multi-Edge Sword. And just as we picked it up, we were attacked by 2 Barogs and a Swordoid. Definitely prioritize the Barogs. They don't have a lot of hit points and they're very easy to remove, but they will try to cast defeat magic against you if you give them a chance. So just wipe them out quickly and that remaining Swordoid will be very easy to kill. At this point in the game, our hero is protected from defeat spells, and we have some of those Stones of Life, but would hate to waste them. And for defeating those Barogs, our hero has leveled up to level 37, gaining 3 points of strength, 3 agility, 4 vitality, which translates to 7 MP, and 4 magic points for only 1 intelligence, which is nice. Our sage has also leveled up, and gained 4 HP, 7 MP, and 1 new spell. So let's see what our sage has learned. Well, we'll check out our hero first. 232 attack power, that's just crazy. And now we'll take a look at the sage. Our sage definitely doesn't hit as hard as the hero, but she makes up for it by having a ton of spells. And this time it looks like she learned the wizard spell of Invisible, which works just like an invisibility herb, but it costs 15 magic points. So that's quite an investment for short-term invisibility. These Putragons don't have a lot of defense, but they also have no resistance to defense magic, so you can use your Orochi sword to reduce their defenses to almost 0. We'll have everyone else attack the Swordoid. He's by himself over there, so we can easily concentrate our firepower on him, and then we'll only have the Putragons to worry about. We did waste 1 attack with our Pilgrim, but it probably doesn't matter too much. And now we'll just have everybody fight the Putragons, and we'll whittle down their very high hit points until they have nothing left. We probably won't kill one this round unless we get a critical hit, but that's okay. We should definitely be able to get one in the second round, and maybe even 2 if we're lucky. Alright, come on. 1 is down, and the other is also. We gain about 3,400 experience points, and we're going to need to do a bit more healing. We just picked up that multi-edge sword, and we're going to head around to the actual exit now. If you don't have a soldier, you won't need the multi-edge sword, so you can probably just skip it. And even if you do have a soldier, the multi-edge sword adds plus 100 to your attack, which is good, but you'll also take damage when you're attacking, so it might be better to use a weapon that has a slightly lower attack, but doesn't have a curse. So we're just going to continue working our way around, and that downward stairway is the one that we were looking for. But first it seems that we've been attacked by 3 more Swordoids, so just take those out. They're not that dangerous, and if you have a chance, don't forget that you can use things like the Shield of Strength to recover hit points. If there's only 1 Swordoid left, you might have a good opportunity to do that. We'll head up here. This is the next to last floor in the entire game, and as we approach the door, we're attacked by a single salamander. A single salamander will be lucky to get off a single attack, and it didn't even survive 2 hits. We'll take our 2,000 experience points, and then use our final key to open up the door. Beyond it is a tile floor, but those tiles are just for decoration. They won't do anything to hurt your party, so just walk over them and then cross the bridge to the left. As we're crossing the bridge, once again we're attacked by 2 Putragons and a Swordoid, so you know what to do here. Use your Orochi sword to weaken the Putragons and take out the Swordoid in the first round. Then you can have everyone fight the Putragons, and if there's only one left, this could be a good opportunity to have everyone use their Shields of Strength to get some free hit point recovery. One Putragon won't be able to do a lot of damage to you, and it definitely won't be able to keep up with 4 Shields of Strength. With those guys out of the way, we'll head over here to the left. First we'll do a little bit of healing, just in case we get attacked again. But as we cross the bridge, who is that? A hero is fighting a monster alone? Yeah, you know who it is. It's dear old Dad. It seems that rumors of Ortega's death have been greatly exaggerated, and we've never seen him in actual battle before, so this is kind of exciting. However, I have to wonder, why is he fighting the King Hydra alone? Is he too arrogant to accept help? We have a whole party of high-level monster assassins right here, and we're just letting Ortega handle this one by himself? 5-on-1 seems like great odds. There's no chance the King Hydra would be able to survive that. We need to team up here. Father and daughter unite. Let's get this done. Ortega chants heal all. Then he takes a hit of Flaming Breath. The King Hydra attacks again. We can now see what the King Hydra can do. It seems like it gets 2 attacks per round, and sometimes it uses a Flaming Breath attack. Ortega strikes back, hitting for 96 damage. I'm really proud of my dad right now. This guy is very powerful. 108 damage this time. And then another shot of Flaming Breath. But he can take it. Ortega fell into a volcano. Flaming Breath isn't going to stop him. The King Hydra attacks again. And Ortega is defeated? As Ortega lies there dying, he says his final words. But why can't we help him? Can't we cast the Vivify spell? Heal all? Give him a Leaf of the World Tree? Do something for the guy. But there's nothing that we can do. And this time Ortega's death is for real. We have to press on. Even more tragic, as he uttered his last words, he didn't even recognize his own daughter as she stood before him. It's especially sad when you consider how many people have told us that we look alike. Do I really look like that guy? Phew, I really let myself go. We're definitely going to need a spa day after we finish off this Archfiend. Up here, 3 more Swordoids attack. Sure, they can attack multiple times per round, but they're not actually that dangerous. So just attack, and if there's only one left, you may want to use that opportunity to restore your health with your Shields of Strength, or just quickly end the battle. As we head down here, we can use our final key to unlock a treasure room, and this is the last one in the game. 3 Swordoids again. These guys are extremely common up here on this floor. So once again, we'll just keep attacking them, and once these guys are out of the way, we can continue heading into the treasure room, and down there we're going to find a couple good treasures. The most important one is the Sage's Stone. Do not open the chests on the 2 ends, so the one that's farthest to the left and the one that's farthest to the right, avoid those. Those are mimics. The ones in between though, those are all safe, so we'll start opening them up. Inside this one we'll find a Leaf of the World Tree, so now we have an extra one of those. Not a bad thing to find. We're nearly out of item space, so I'm going to discard the multi-edged sword, and that'll give us a little bit of flexibility so we can transfer items around. We'll give our fighter the Leaf of the World Trees because he's the only one that doesn't know magic to revive someone. And we'll use some wizard's rings so that we can get some extra juice out of those. We're about to find another wizard ring, so if one of them breaks, we'll be able to replace it. And that did happen here. When we search this chest, we'll find a stone of life. That's not exactly the stone we were looking for, but it is a good item. Here we have 2 lion roars and a single Putragon. If we all attack the one Putragon, we may be able to kill it in a single round of combat, because we don't have to distribute our attacks across multiple this time. So that's what I would recommend doing here. We'll just get that Putragon out of the way, and then we'll be able to attack those lion roars later, although they did use some very mean magic against us in that round. We'll attack the lion roars now. Maybe we'll get a Shield of Sorrow. And I don't recommend using magic against them because they like to cast bounce. You can use items that double as spells though, if you'd prefer to do that. But melee attacks should be able to get it done here, and with another critical hit from our fighter, we'll take our 3,200 experience points, and our pilgrim will level up to level 37, gaining 7 points of vitality, which translated to 13 hit points, but no new spells this time. Inside this chest, we'll find the item that we were very interested in, the Sage's Stone. The Sage's Stone, when used as an item during a battle, will cast the Heal-Us spell for free, which is awesome, and it's not a consumable item. It's something that you can use as many times as you want, so that's going to be very helpful, especially against enemies that use breath weapons or magic attacks that hit the whole party. You can simply counteract them with the Sage's Stone. I had to throw away one of our Shield of Strengths to make room for the Sage's Stone, but it's the end of the game, so that Shield of Strength has served its purpose, and for the most part, if I want to use an item to restore some HP, I'm going to use the Sage's Stone. That way it will help out the entire party, but if we need to, our other characters still have Shield of Strengths, so they could use those to join in on the healing effort if necessary. And we'll try out that Sage's Stone right here, and you can see how good it is, costing no magic points at all, and doing about 18 magic points worth of work. Just keep heading down this hallway. We're looking for a stairway at the end, and that will take us to the final room and Zoma's altar. So you won't get attacked by enemies here. Just head on up to the altar, and you'll see the fires start appearing. And then Zoma will start walking towards us. But it's not time to fight him just yet. Nope, we're going to fight 4 bosses here. So after we talk to Zoma, we're going to fight the first boss, and this one is going to be that King Hydra that killed our father. Make sure everyone is ready to fight before you approach the altar, because the time for vengeance is nigh. You killed my father, prepare to die. Have your fighter and the hero attack, have the sage cast Bykill on your hero, and have the pilgrim cast Sap against the King Hydra. Sap has a 70% chance of working against the King Hydra, and will drastically lower its defense, which will make it easier to kill. Remember, the King Hydra gets 2 attacks per round, and can either use a breath weapon or a normal melee attack. In the second round, we're going to cast Bykill on our fighter, and then just have everyone else fight. We'll be able to deal double damage with 2 of our characters then, unless we cast the Bykill after the fighter attacks. But with everything going there, it should not take long to finish the King Hydra. Before you move forward here, you may want to cast some healing magic, because when you get to a certain point, we're going to have to fight the second of 4 bosses. I also don't recommend leaving this room if you've killed any of the bosses. If you turn around and walk back down the stairs, whenever you come back in here, you'll have to start over again with King Hydra. And this is Baramus Bomus, Skeeter Valentine's evil brother. I don't think this guy is very difficult, so what we're going to do is have our fighter and our hero attack. We'll have the wizard cast Bykill on the fighter and the hero, and then we can have the pilgrim try casting Stop Spell. It only has a 30% chance of success, but if it works, it'll take away his best weapon, which is the Explode It spell. Something else you may want to try is using the pilgrim's barrier magic. Baramus Bomus can do a melee attack, but he mostly uses fire-based magic or a fire breath attack, so the barrier spell might be worth a shot. We took almost no damage there, so we're going to press on, and here's the third of the 4 bosses. This purple undead dragon monster is called Baramus Gonus, but his friends call him Goner. This guy has very high attack and very high HP, but he's also extremely one-dimensional with 0 defense, 0 agility, and all he does is attack. So we're going to have our wizard or sage cast Bykill on the fighter and hero. The fighter and hero will continuously attack this guy, and the pilgrim can either join in the attacking, or the pilgrim may want to try casting Surround. It only has a 30% chance of success, but if you were to get this guy with the Surround spell, he would have more than a 50% chance to miss whenever he attacked, which would make him extremely ineffective. I don't think casting Surround is necessary, since this guy has no defense. The attacks from our pilgrim can add up. And with that, our fighter has risen to level 36, gaining only 1 point of strength, but 6 agility, and 5 points of HP. Not bad. And we'll need to do a bit of healing before we fight the final boss. Make sure that you have full HP before you go into this battle, and if any of your MPs are getting low, you may want to try using some wizard rings. If that wizard ring crumbles, then so be it. This is the end of the game. You're not going to be needing it after this. As soon as everyone's ready to go ahead and approach Zoma. He's going to ask, Ray, why do you struggle to live? I'll tell you why, Zoma. Just like my late father before me, I'm a hero. And it's not just my class, it's my destiny. And that means it's your destiny to die. To let Zoma know that we mean business, we're going to use the Sphere of Light in the first round. We'll have our sage or wizard cast Bykill on our fighter or hero, and we'll have our pilgrim cast Speed Up to increase the agility of each member of our party. When you use the Sphere of Light, the ball glows even more brilliantly, and it will turn Zoma blue, indicating that we're fighting the weakened form of the boss now. The Sphere of Light greatly reduces Zoma's attack and defense, and that's going to make him a lot easier to fight. But you still need to take this boss very seriously, because he still gets 2 attacks per round, and he can still do some serious stuff, like use a powerful Ice Breath, or cast Snowstorm, which can deal quite a bit of damage to each member of your party. If Zoma decides to use a melee attack against you, it usually hits for over 100 damage, so be ready for that as well. Spells like Sap, Defense, or items like the Orochi Sword also work against Zoma, and can lessen his defense, which will make it a little bit easier to damage him. In the later rounds, you may need to have some of your characters focus on healing, use the Sage's Stone, use Healless magic, or cast Heal All on someone that's taken a significant hit. I do not recommend using any healing magic on your party weaker than Heal All. The most annoying thing that Zoma does is the Freeze Beam, which undoes all of your enhancements and debuffs, so you'll have to suddenly cast your Bykill spell again. You may want to cast Speed Up again. If you've cast Defense or Sap already, you'll need to cast that again, so pay attention for that attack, but make sure you prioritize healing if your characters get low on health before you start casting things like Bykill again. Zoma has over 1,000 hit points and regenerates about 100 each round, but if you take a beating, it's totally okay to take a round off from attacking the boss so that you can focus on healing. Also, if one of your characters gets killed, that's a grade A emergency, and you should try to fix that right away by using a Leaf of the World tree. And if you run out of Leaf of the World trees, you can try using the Vivify spell, but hopefully it won't come to that. Just keep re-establishing your buy kill spell, use the defense spell if that's been taken away by the freeze beam, and you can see that lowered Zoma's defense by 100 points. So between dealing double damage with buy kill and reducing his defense by 100 points with the defense or the sap spell, we're going to be able to hit this guy pretty hard. So Zoma did a melee attack and then a blizzard breath attack, and that killed Kylo. This is something that can happen against this boss because he does a lot of attacks that hit the entire party. The party member in the back takes a lot of damage because he doesn't get the benefit of the parry trick. So we'll use the Leaf of the World tree to bring Kylo back, and you can see that made it easy for him to recover. And we also used the Sage's Stone to fix up the rest of the party. So we had to kinda take a round off that turn to fix the dead party member, but now everything looks good and we're ready to go again. We'll use the Sage's Stone to get back some health here, and I guess we'll have the Pilgrim fight. 176 damage from the fighter, and there's the freeze beam again, so that's annoying. We'll need to start casting buy kill and other spells again. Except that the 14 damage from our Pilgrim finished off Zoma. Alright, well, that's just one way to kill Zoma. Here's a different way. You're still going to use the Sphere of Light in the first round, but Zoma has a very bizarre weakness. He's actually weak against healing magic and medical herbs, believe it or not. That means if you can clear out enough inventory space to bring a bunch of medical herbs to this fight, you can use them to deal significant damage against this boss. You do need to use the Sphere of Light first. If you try to use medical herbs or healing magic against this boss before you use the sphere, it's not going to work, so make sure you get that in there. And have your fastest character use the sphere so that you can have some of your slower characters get in there with medical herbs right away, and you can see the hero hit for over 100 damage, and the second herb did over 50, which isn't bad. The medical herbs can deal around 250 damage if you get a very good one, and you can also use the Heal More spell against Zoma to deal around 80 to 90 damage, but don't try Heal All, that one doesn't work. Don't forget to use some healing magic on your own party while you're fighting against this guy. You don't want to have anyone die. But you can definitely defeat Zoma with only medical herbs and healing spells. Not only can it be done, it may be the best way to fight him. So we'll continue using our medical herbs, we'll cast a healless spell to keep our party's HP high, and we have a few herbs left, so we'll just keep turning those against Zoma. Sometimes they only do a few points, but you can see that one did 249 damage. So that's what you're hoping for whenever you use the herbs. Zoma chanted a snowstorm against us, and he used the freeze beam, but we don't actually care because we're just herbing him to death. And make sure you're using your parries so that you don't take too much damage from this boss. But this is the strategy I would recommend if you wanted to try to fight Zoma with a low-level party. We'll try using that Heal More magic against him. Remember, don't use Heal All, Heal More is the good one, and we got 251 damage out of that last herb. And 88 and then 70 from the Heal More, 107 from an herb. Alright, Zoma put a couple attacks on us there, and now our Pilgrim is weak, but I think we can get him this round if we just focus our efforts. So one more healing round against Zoma. Let's do this. 232 with a medical herb, I think we got him. 77 from Healmore, and 182 from the Pilgrim. You have defeated Zoma. That is quite a weakness there, Zoma. Can you imagine fighting a giant monster and then like throwing a handful of Tylenol in its face and watching it writhe in agony? Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. And that's how you defeat Zoma with a lower level party, but it begs the question, is it possible to defeat Zoma without the Sphere of Light? Can we actually defeat strong Zoma instead of the weakened blue version? Well, I aim to find out. But to do that, we were going to have to level up a lot more. If we want to reach some extremely high levels, the best way to do it is going to be fighting the Metal Babbles. So we'll stop back here at Aleahan and pick up our Babble fighting gear. And then we'll return to the Shrine of Dama, where we'll start our power leveling trick once more. So you know what to do. We're going to save our game, then reset. Then we're going to change the message speed on file 3 and reload our original game. And as soon as this guy is done telling us how many more experience points we need to get to the next level, we're going to cast our return magic and head over to Rimuldar, where we will immediately run into 2 Metal Babbles. So we'll cast our return spell, and we'll just head around the city, make sure not to bump into anything, and there's the Babbles, as usual, right on command. If we want to have a chance against strong Zoma, we need to learn all of the spells. On the Pilgrim side, we'd definitely love to learn the Revive spell. It costs 20 magic points, and at the earliest you'll learn it at level 38. But Revive is like the magic version of the Leaf of the World tree. It always works, and it'll bring somebody back to life with full HP. On the Wizard side, we're looking for Bee Dragon. For our Sage, we didn't get it at level 34, but that's the lowest level that you can get it at. Whenever you do learn Bee Dragon, it costs 24 magic points, which seems absurd, but it will transform the wizard into a dragon. You won't have any control over the dragon, it just automatically uses a powerful breath attack each round against the enemies, and it's one of the only things that works against a Metal Babble, especially when they're off guard and bewildered. It'll kill every Metal Babble in a single shot. If you catch them off guard, I like to cast Bee Dragon in the first round and also have our Pilgrim cast Speed Up, which will hopefully have the dragon attack before the Babbles get a chance to run away. We actually got a critical hit there, so that was pretty awesome. And Metal Babble B decided to cast Fireball and not run away, and you can see how the Flaming Breath works. It dealt 94 damage to the Metal Babble, and we were able to kill both of them for 26,800 experience points. Pretty awesome. Once a character knows every spell they can possibly learn, you may want to convert that magic user into a melee class so that you can take advantage of different types of weapons or armor, and have a character that will have higher HP and presumably higher defense. Here at level 42, we're going to convert our Pilgrim into a soldier so we can make a healer that also has a lot of health. We will lose half of our magic points, and soldiers will not gain more after the conversion, so make sure you have a good amount of MP before you make the change. After the conversion, don't forget to purchase and equip all of the best possible equipment for your new class. We're going to purchase an iron mask for our new soldier because this is the way, and it will provide plus 16 defense, which is the most you can get from a helmet. We're also going to use the Thunder Sword and the Sword Edge armor, as well as a Shield of Strength that we already had. We also have the Armor of Hades, and we might want to use it, but because that armor is cursed, As soon as we equip it, we will not be able to take it off, so we want to make sure that we're ready before we put it on. Now that we know how to power level with Metal Babbles, it's going to be very easy to raise a level 1 character up to a reasonable level. If you get lucky enough with the Bee Dragon spell, you may be able to kill 2 Metal Babbles in the same battle, and then we'll get that 26,800 experience points, which is going to be quite a bit for a level 1 soldier. So let's see what happens. See if we can get that dragon attack. There it is. And both Metal Babbles are defeated, giving us 26,800 experience points. And oh, our fighter leveled up to level 41, so that's good. But now we're going to watch Kylo level up. And he was a level 1 character, but not for long. If you ever wondered what it would look like for a level 1 character to get 26,800 experience points, this is it, but I want you to see this for a different reason as well. You'll notice that a lot of these level ups are pretty sad. Like 1 strength, 1 agility, 1 HP, 1 strength, 1 vitality. I mean, these are not very good level ups. That's because Kylo kept half of the stats from his previous class, and whenever you level up in this game, the game checks to see if you have above average stats for your level, and because of all those previous stats, of course he does. If you have above average stats, you'll get minimal or no stat gain in that area, so for the first few levels, we weren't gaining much at all. This just means you should only be changing classes so that a character can learn new spells, or so that a spellcaster can become a soldier or a fighter. I don't recommend bouncing between classes over and over again. It has diminishing returns. You're better off just trying to level up to a very high number. You can potentially level up to level 99 in this game, so that's better than doing a lot of conversions. It looks like it stopped at level 19, but we also gained a level on our Sage, so almost everyone leveled up there. And let's take a look at our new stats after 1 battle, already up to 165 attack power, and we still have a ways to go before we're done. If you fight enough Metal Babbles, you might find a treasure chest, and inside you'll find the Shoes of Happiness. This is the 4th accessory in the game, and it's the last one. You can equip it by using it as an item from the item menu, and the equipped character will gain 1 experience point for each step they take out in the field. So not very exciting if you're already able to kill Metal Babbles, but I guess it's nice to have if you can find it. I wouldn't worry too much about finding the Shoes of Happiness. It's cool if you do, but they're not actually that great. At level 42, our Sage learned her last spell, and once the hero hit level 47, I decided to stop leveling up for a while, and we could focus on finding some new equipment. There's a few pieces of gear out there that you can only get from enemies, and now that we're very powerful, it would be a lot easier to try to farm them to find those. Before we get off the subject of spells, I do want to mention that the last wizard spell, Chance, costs 20 magic points, and it does something random whenever you cast it, but a lot of things that it does can be very good, so it's something that you might want to try against the Metal Babbles. Sometimes it will just instantly kill all of them, and you'll get that 26,800 experience points. Sometimes it will stop time, and if time is stopped, you'll get a couple free rounds, and you can cast Bee Dragon and have it automatically work. So you may think that the Chance spell is something that you would just use for fun, but it does have potential to be a good way to eliminate those Metal Babbles, so you can quickly level up. At level 34, the hero also gets the Heal Us All spell, which costs 62 magic points, but it does heal the entire party to full HP. So that's something that you might want to use if things get desperate, especially against a powerful boss. And whenever you're done here at the Shrine of Dama, we're going to head back to Aliahan, we'll drop off our Babble fighting gear, and then we'll go out into the world and start trying to find some items that are only dropped by enemies. We'll say hello to our good friend Mule, who would really like to get in on the action, but knows that he's only level 1 and doesn't mind holding our stuff. Don't forget to put your party back in the proper formation before we leave. And the most important item that we want to find that's dropped by enemies is the Thor's Sword, and I like to look for it here in Zoma's Castle Basement 2, because the Granite Titans are the ones that drop it. Remember, to get an item drop, you need to make sure that you kill the enemy that can potentially drop it last in battle, so we want to make sure that we just get rid of all these goopies, and then we can finish off the Granite Titan. Thor's Sword gives you a plus 95 to attack, so this is going to be the best non-cursed weapon that our soldier can wield. In addition though, if you use it as an item, it can cast the Firebolt spell for free, just like the Sword of Kings. So you'll be very happy if you can find one of these, and it's only a 1 in 64 chance, so it's not unreasonable that you may find one. Magi-Wyverns appear over here in this small strip of mountains to the right of the city of Cantlin, and they also spawn a lot in the upper floors in that tower west of Kol, but I'd much rather try to fight enemies out on the world map than in a dungeon, so look for them out here. You do need to be careful against these guys because they cast the Chaos spell, but the Mysterious Hat is a pretty good one. It's a unique helmet for spellcasters that will reduce the cost of magic spells by 25% plus 1. The Magic Bikini is only dropped by King Murzons, and you can find them anywhere in the Alefgard Ocean. Look for King Murzons and take them out. The Magic Bikini is the best armor, or at least the armor with the highest defense, that merchants, goof-offs, or fighters can wear, but it can only be worn by women, so remember that when you're making your initial party at the beginning of the game. I've read that in some versions of this game, you can get a free magic bikini from the belly dancing troop leader over in the village of Oseram, but in the NES game, you have to get one from a King Murzon. So if you're interested in it, you'll have to keep fighting in the ocean until you find one. And if you want to see what it looks exactly like the revealing swimsuit, except this actually has a decent amount of armor. So certainly not as good as the Armor of Radiance, but if you have a high-level female merchant, goof-off, or fighter, you'll probably want the Magic Bikini. The Staff of Reflection is something that you need to get from Archmages, which is an enemy type we haven't actually seen in this run so far. They appear in several places, but they're easiest to find in the third basement of Zoma's castle. These guys are pretty annoying. They can revive enemies that were killed, they can cast Explode It, they can attack, and they also can use an Ice Breath attack. The Staff of Reflection will allow you to cast the Bounce spell for free, but you can only use it if you're a character class that could equip it. Of all the items that you can only get from enemy drops, this one is a 1 in 128 chance, and the Archmages didn't show up that often, so this is the one item that took me the longest to find. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it, but if you really want to have a pilgrim that can put up a bounce spell, I guess this is the only way to do it. And there it is, the Staff of Reflection. The Snowblast Sword is something that is easiest to find from Swordoids, which are very common down here in the lower basements of Zoma's castle. Other enemy types like the Marauders can also drop it, but for them it's a 1 in 256 chance instead of a 1 in 128. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, a weapon that only adds plus 80 to your attack is not that great, and it can cast the Snowblast spell for free, which is just not as good as some of the other free spells we can cast with other weapons. If we would have found this much earlier, it could have been awesome, but right now it's really not. And the last item you can only get from enemies is the Shield of Sorrow, and this one is dropped by Lion Roars or Leonas. It's dropped by some other enemy types, but the chances of getting it are not as good. This shield only adds plus 35 to your defense, and it's cursed. The curse can be mitigated by wearing the Sword Edge armor or the Cloak of Evasion, but there's no additional benefits to the Shield of Sorrow, so if you find it late in the game, you should just use the Shield of Strength instead. Now that we have all the best gear and our sage knows every spell that a pilgrim and a wizard can learn, I'm going to convert the sage into a fighter. The upside to doing this is we're going to have a spellcaster that has extremely high agility, and that's going to be very, very valuable. The downside to doing this is we lose half of our MP, and now the only character that we have that can use a wizard's ring is our hero. This is not a problem, it just means that your hero needs to be doing a lot more of the between battle healing than she was doing before. After the conversion, we'll level up doing the Metal Babble trick, and we'll try to get everyone up over level 50, or at least close to it. Here we are in the Castle of Zoma. We're going to use that Armor of Hades, so we'll equip that now. And let's take a look at our final status. Mance has an attack power of 273, pretty good. Ray has an attack power of 281 with a defense of 211, so she is very powerful. And we have UCBVG, our new fighter, with an attack of 239 and every wizard and pilgrim spell. And then we have our soldier, Kylo, who knows every pilgrim spell and has an attack power of 266. I put Kylo in the back of the formation because with the Armor of Hades on, if Zoma uses a magic spell that hits the entire party, it won't matter as much that he's unable to parry in the back there. You may also want to use the hero in the back of the formation for similar reasons. If you choose not to use the Sphere of Light against Zoma, you'll want to make sure that you keep Buy Kill active on your hero and your main fighter. If you're not using the sphere, you'll also notice that the strong Zoma has 550 attack. So if he does attack you, it's going to be for quite a bit of damage. Have at least one of your characters play a support role, and don't be afraid to preemptively heal your party by using something like the Sage's Stone, even if it looks like you haven't taken a lot of damage already. Zoma just hit our level 60 hero for over 100 damage, despite the fact that she has extremely high defense armor, and she was doing a parry attack, which reduced the damage from Zoma's attack by half. That means if she wasn't doing a parry attack, Zoma would have just hit for 214 with a regular old attack. So that's what we're up against here, and Zoma just used the Freeze Beam, so now we have to cast our Buy Kill spells over again. Luckily, we've been using the Sage's Stone to keep our HP high, so we want to keep doing that. And we'll fight, and we'll cast Buy Kill on Ray, and we'll use that Sage's Stone again. We're getting kinda lucky with the critical hits. Our fighter at level 54 will get an obscene number of critical hits. That's just part of having a high level fighter on our team. so that is certainly to our benefit. Kylo used the Sage's Stone to restore some health, but everyone is getting a little bit low, so we may need to take a round off from our Sage, or our Sage that's converted to a fighter, and cast the Heal Us spell in addition to using the Sage's Stone. So let's see Zoma get through that. And another freeze beam. Alright, Zoma. Well, here's another critical hit for you. And with that, Zoma is defeated without the Sphere of Light. As Zoma takes his final breath, he prophesizes the rise of the Dragon Lord. He says, "From darkness deep, one will follow me. But when that time doth arrive, thou wilt too have aged and died." And then he laughs, but laugh it up, Zoma. You're the one that's dead, not us. As his castle crumbles, we fall into a crack, but we emerge safely from the bottomless fissure in the cave north of Tantegel. With the Master Archfiend defeated, we don't have to worry about being attacked by enemies anymore, but we still can't use magic down here, so we'll need to walk out the old-fashioned way. Make your way up the stairs and head over to the right. If you did this optional cave before, you'll know how to get out of here, but if you didn't, just follow the map. It's really not that complicated. As we head over to the left, another earthquake is felt. Is this one an aftershock? I'm not sure, but it collapses part of the cave. There's no going back now. To find the exit, we need to make our way to the lower left corner, and then we'll cut across to the lower right, and that's where the next stairway is. So just head around this way, cut across, and take those stairs up. The stairway that leads out of this cave is in the upper left corner, and there's multiple ways you can walk to get there. This floor is pretty easy to get through. And as we emerge from the cave, we see something that we haven't seen in quite some time. Daylight. We've done it. We've beaten Dragon Warrior 3. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. We could use the return spell to get back to the town of Brecconaly, but there's no enemies here, so we'll just walk it. Back in town, the people are celebrating. If you talk to somebody that looks exactly the same as another person, they'll have the same thing to say, so just look for character sprites that are different looking, and you'll be able to see what all the different messages are. If we go in this door, we can talk to a prisoner, and to the guy that works at the House of Healing, so we'll see what those guys have to say. And you can also use your spell of return to go to different towns, but you can only go to towns here in Alefgard, so sadly we won't be able to go back to Aliahan and say hello to Ray's mother. Up here we can check in on Kandar, who says, "From now on, let me call you boss." And considering Kandar is a boss that we had to fight twice, that does make a lot of sense. We'll come over here and talk to this kid. 3 cheers for Ray. Hip hip hooray. That even rhymes. When we talk to this guy, he says that he can't believe that we defeated the Master Archfiend, but of course we did. And then we'll head up here to the castle. This guard at the front gate says, "The king anxiously waits you," and I'm not sure what that means. Maybe he's a little bit drunk. And if we head down here, we can talk to the old man who gave us back our magic points. He says that we finally brought peace to the land, so that's kinda nice. And before we go into the chamber of the king, let's check out some of the other towns. If we go over to the Village of Kol, we can talk to the couple that came from Japan and see how they're doing. So we'll head over here as soon as this woman gets out of the way. Come on, alright. We don't have our handy water blaster to make her move right now, so we just had to wait, and we'll use our open spell to get inside. And there is the woman from Japan. So we'll see what she has to say. Open this one up. Lots of doors if you want to talk to this lady. And she said, "I'd forgotten morning could be so beautiful." Oh, wow, cool. Over here, we'll talk to this merchant type, who thanks us for making day dawn in this land. And then if we go upstairs, we can talk to the swordsmith. He says, "I'll never think of my old home anymore." And that's good, because I don't think there's a good way for him to get back there. And now we'll check out the village of Cantlin. There's not a whole lot to see in this village, but guess who's over here at the inn? It's Garin. So we'll check in with him and see how he's doing. He's tired of his wanderings and has returned home. Sadly, things do not end well for Garin, nor do they end well for Yukinov, the child that's born in Hauksness. And if you don't know who Yukinov is, he is the merchant who supposedly hid the armor of Erdrick before the town of Hauksness was destroyed. And if you head down here, you can talk to a horse, and the horse says one of my favorite things, "Hip hip neigh." If we head over to the village of Rimuldar, we can talk to the man who makes magic keys, and it seems that he finally figured it out, well, kind of. He must have done something wrong because when he uses it once, it breaks. But what he doesn't know is that's actually a good way to sell a lot of keys. So it turned out pretty good for that old man. And now we'll head back to Brecconaly and make our way to the castle. This is it, the final walk of the game. We've come a very long way since Ray's 16th birthday. We defeated an Archfiend and a Master Archfiend, and we rescued the people from 2 totally different worlds. We caught up with our late father, even if it was just for a moment. And finally, we met one last time with the king of Tantegel Castle, where he bestowed us with the country's greatest honor. He says, "Ray, I hereby bequeath unto thee that which is our country's highest honor, the Order of Erdrick, bearing witness to your status as a true hero." As the trumpets play the classic Dragon Quest overture, our characters move into formation and pose for a few final pictures. We see them here in the castle throne room, we see them out and about in town, but we don't see them very much more, because this is the end of our adventure. And here they are, talking to a few cats, and with the people outside the castle, and finally here with a few more people in town. Thus a true warrior was born, and Ray became known as Erdrick, hero of Aliahan. There was no equal. However, shortly thereafter the hero Ray mysteriously disappeared and has not been seen since. Many a story has been told of that darkest of nights when Erdrick left her weapon, armor, and amulet behind. Legend says that they have been handed down to worthy warriors of future generations as the Sword of Erdrick, Armor of Erdrick, and Emblem of Erdrick. Thus, the legend was born. Roll the credits. When I started this project, I knew that this game was big, but I had no idea that it was quite this large. This is by far the most extensive guide that I have ever made for any other game. This was one of my favorite games growing up, and as a turn-based RPG, I think it holds up pretty well. There is so much in this game. It feels like it goes on forever, in a good way. My first endgame party that I beat the game with as a kid included both a wizard and a goof-off, two classes that I actively discourage people from using if it's their first time playing the game. It did make it a lot harder for me to win, so I stand by those recommendations, but I couldn't resist as a kid all the silly antics that the goof-off does, and as you level up, your goof-off actually learns new antics, and I thought that was all pretty fun. As an adult, I really wanted characters that just do what I tell them to, so I didn't really want a goof-off on my team, but if you want to have a good time, you should definitely try one of those out, maybe in your second or third playthrough. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Dragon Warrior 4, but I like this one just a little bit more, and I'll explain why. Number 1, I prefer controlling all of my characters, and I don't really want to give up any control to AI, even if it does work pretty well, and there are some ways that you can make the AI do what you want it to do. I actually like having the AI control the characters when I'm just trying to grind levels. That makes it a little bit easier to play, but whenever I'm in a dungeon or fighting a boss, I'd like to be in complete control. I also like all the flexibility that this game has with the way that you can design your party. The hero is set, but you get 3 different characters and there's a lot of different classes you can choose from, and then it goes even farther when you change classes and you can make a lot of interesting combinations, hybrid classes, characters that can cast a lot of spells, but also can wear heavy armor and have a lot of HP. That is something that's very unique to this game. When you get to the last chapter of Dragon Warrior 4, you have a lot of flexibility over which characters you use, but in the earlier chapters, it's a lot more rigid, and you have to kind of go with what they give you. I also love all the little homages that this game pays to the other games in the series. The kid that's learning how to lift curses, the guy that's making the magic keys. All that stuff is really neat, and then there's the clincher at the end, where you become the legendary hero Erdrick that you'd heard about so much. So it's for those reasons that I think that this game is slightly better than Dragon Warrior 4, although on the plus side, I do appreciate the way that Dragon Warrior 4 uses those chapters to break up the story at the beginning of the game, and that really keeps it interesting. It's exciting to get to a new chapter and have brand new characters to try out. I'll definitely be playing Dragon Warrior 4 in the future, but for at least the next few weeks I'm going to play some shorter games. I want to thank my wife for helping out on this one. She helped me do a lot of the data entry for the monster graphics that you saw, and those took a lot of time, so if it wasn't for her, I would still be working on this thing. It's fitting that this is the biggest game I've ever covered, because this is the 100th game I've finished on the channel. It's not the 100th episode because there were a couple 2-parters and a few specials, but this is the 100th different game. So I want to thank everybody who's been with us since the beginning, and if you're new, well, there's a lot more episodes for you to enjoy after you get done watching this one. As the last few credits pop up onto the screen, I want to thank anyone that's still watching this deep into the guide. This was a big undertaking, but this is a great game, so I certainly think it was worth it. Considering how long this video was and how long it took to make it, I can't imagine how long it must have taken to make this game, and how many man-hours must have gone into it. I imagine this game took quite a long time just to translate it to English, let alone to make it from scratch. In modern times, big budget video games are made by massive teams with hundreds of people, but back in the late 80s, this was probably considered a bigger team, and although they were working on a simpler type game, this still was a massive undertaking. The last 2 credits are for the producer, and then for the publisher from Enix America. After that, there's a final scene that shows the orbs that we were looking for back in the World of Light, and it says that this game is to be continued in Dragon Warrior. So I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Dragon Warrior 3 and return peace to the world of Alefgard. If it did, make sure to give it a like and make sure to subscribe for more videos, because there will always be another Archfiend threatening to darken our realm, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.